Thomas Paine, Sam Adams, Benjamin Franklin. These men spoke up for what they thought was right. From their courage came such documents as the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution of the United States. From their willingness to speak what was sometimes unpopular but right, we enjoy such liberties as freedom of speech, the right to keep and bear arms, and freedom of religion. There are those who still wish to oppress our freedoms, and there are still patriots willing to stand up and defend life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Men like Zeb Bell, who honor our founding fathers and what they stood for. It's now time for Zeb at the Ranch, speaking up and defending your freedoms. Brought to you by Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers and all of the other great advertisers on the program. And now, Zeb Bell.
This is especially written for Jay Carney, White House spokesman for Barack Hussein Obama. After eating an entire bull, a mountain lion felt so good he started roaring. He kept it up until a hunter came along and shot him. The moral of the story, when you're full of bull, keep your mouth shut. Good morning, everybody. Here comes Kate Smith and God Bless America, followed by a Patriot with our Pledge of Allegiance on a Tuesday, Vote Day, the 20th of May. Good morning. Thank you very much, Kate Smith. Good morning. I'm Zeb Bell at Zeb at the Ranch with our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you. And don't forget some of our great advertisers, including Lee's Furniture, Floors, and more at 459 Overland and Burley. And, of course, our friends at Western Way Services, always at your disposal. Get on the route service today. Call Kelly and the crew at 734-6969. And now, here is the lovely board operator, Gina.
Good morning, sunshine. How are you?
Good, but I think both of us will reiterate this many times during the course of the next 3 hours. Get out and vote.
Please do. If you are a registered Republican, or you can register at the polling place, just get out there, vote. Polls close at 8 o'clock tonight.
Amen. Thank you so much. And do we have a pledger this morning?
We have Mr. Carl Clark on for the pledge and Mr. Michael Rogers on for the weather.
Well, good. It's good to hear from Carl. Carl, if you would please honor us with the Pledge of Allegiance.
My honor. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I hope that we're going to see you on Thursday at Lunch Bunch. I hope you're feeling up to it.
I hope so, too. Zeb, I want to say to the folks, hey, it is a privilege to get out and vote, but mostly it's a duty.
That's right.
Do your duty, folks. Get out and vote.
Amen. Carl, it is always good to hear from you, and you know you're in our thoughts and prayers, and hope everything goes well. Hopefully we'll see you at Denny's Restaurant on Thursday.
Thank you, Zeb. I will try to be there.
All right. God bless you, my dear friend. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for the weather, and the weather is brought to you by Save On Shells, 1835 Overland and Burley, with Anthony and the whole crew. Number to call Anthony and say, hey, what kind of shells you got over there? And he'll say the best with ARE. I'll tell you more about that in a moment. But right now, here is Michael Rogers' weather.
You have a chance of thunder boomers after lunchtime today with a high of 73, overnight low of 48. The rain will continue for much of the afternoon tonight and also for tomorrow, and you got a nice-looking weekend. So at this particular point in time, you're doing your normal Magic Valley summertime weather. You want it to rain in the middle of the week so you can have a nice weekend. Enjoy the day, enjoy the weather. It's the only weather you got.
All right, well, and it doesn't sound too bad. We're going to have a little thunder boomer. We can live with that. And, of course, the weather brought to you by our dear friends at Save On Shells. You know, why in the world would you want to leave anything in the back of that truck and that pickup bed unprotected? No, I mean groceries and fishing equipment, saddles and tack, anything and everything, the tools, whatever. Get a camper pepper shell. Put it on there. Protect things. Lock it up. I'm telling you, they've got the best of the ARE shells at Save On Shells. And, of course, a great selection of used ones. Installation, parts, and service. Anthony really goes overboard in serving you. How do I know so much about it? Because I bought one from Save On Shells, and I am a happy customer. Save On Shells, 1835 Overland and Burley. Anthony's number, 312-1525. Calls are welcome and appreciated. Go vote. Please, I'll say it again and again this morning. Please go vote. And I want to see a percentage that Idaho can be proud of. Not like what happened back in North Carolina a couple of weeks ago. I mean, with a disgusting, absolutely repulsive 18%. Come on, let's get out and really show everybody that we care in Idaho. And I'm not going to give any prognostication. Somebody called me yesterday and said, are you going to sit down this morning? Some talk show hosts, I think, they want to enamor themselves that they know everything about who's running and why, and well, they'll win. Even though I have my own personal views on who should win, I think it would not be fair to you, the voters, to give prognostications. I think it's foolish to try to taint the vote, and I look down on somebody that does that. And there are many good candidates. Many good candidates, and there are some that are pretty lousy. I'm going to be very honest with you. Running in this election. There's some that shouldn't run at all, but they are running, and they deserve respect for that. And so get out and vote, make your choices, and may the best person win for the respective categories. Okay? Calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Very happy to have SafeLink Internet on our program, and they've been around for 16 years and counting, and doing a great job for Southern Idaho, and for that matter, the state. And fast, reliable Internet, and they have a track record to prove it, and believe me, they are growing bigger and better every day. All you have to do to get on their program is 677-8000. Call 677-8000. Idaho's number one choice, SafeLink Internet. These people are really, really good. Oh, and you know I can never, ever say really, really good without talking about our friends at Daryl's Cleaners. Man, oh man, they've taken care of me. They have taken care of me. I mean, with all the rodeos and all the traveling and everything else, I've got to have some really good-looking clothes. And they have taken care of my clothes for years, and they do the best job of anybody, anywhere. 1223 Albion Avenue in Burley. And whatever you need cleaned, it's going to come back looking brand spanking new. Kevin, Cindy, the whole crew serving you at Daryl's Cleaners. 1223 Albion Avenue in Burley. Believe me, they are the best. All right, time for some calls. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. You know, if you're a parent of a small child, I want you to listen up here this morning, because when I heard this story earlier this morning, it sickens me. It absolutely sickens me, because it shows that some parents, now notice that I use the word some. I am not condemning all parents, believe me, because there are really good parents out there. But some parents are using a drug right now on their children to alter their hyperactivity. The Ritilan attitude, the ADHD, etc. And these kids are 4 years old or younger. There is a medical study out that literally tens of thousands of kids, 4 years of age and under, they're hyper years, man. Once they learn how to walk, they're into everything, and they're going here. Zip, zip, they're over here. Zip, zip, they're over there. And they're kids. And these parents that should not be parents, because they're too lazy and self-absorbed with their own lives to have to watch kids, be kids, act like kids, etc. They're giving them medicine for ADHD and to calm them down, put them in a kind of a subtle state, and they're just pushing these personality-altering drugs at under 4 years of age. I heard the story this morning. I listened to this doctor talk about it, and the doctor had tears in his eyes about what these parents are doing to these kids. It's criminal. What are your I got to get Gina in on this because she's got a young son. And I'm going to have her weigh in on this in just a minute. Let me do this commercial, Gina, and I want you to jump in on this. Denny's Restaurant, 611 Overland in Burley. We're going to be over there on Thursday for our lunch bunch at 11:30. And, oh, my. The food is good. The portions are humongous. Service is fantastic. Thomas and the rest of the crew, really good folks at Denny's Restaurant, 611 Overland in Burley. Whether it's breakfast, whether it's lunch, whether it's dinner, whatever, you just go in and enjoy. It's fantabulous. So like I said, we're going to be over there on Thursday for Lunch Bunch, and we're going to have a lot of door prizes from like Walmart, Smith's Food King, Handsome Mortuary, and Denny's Restaurant. So come on by 11:30 on Thursday. You can go in anytime. Denny's Restaurant, 611 Overland in Burley. Gina, you have young Kennedy, and he is all boy and healthy and ready to rock and ride anytime he wants to. I think I already know the answer to this question because I know you as a person and I know you as a mom. Can you imagine just taking, and for the convenience of the parents, that's all it is, taking these kids and putting them on drugs that just basically turn them into little zombies?
At the age of 4 years old.
Or younger.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. That is, their bodies are still changing. Their brains are still growing. Their personality is starting to develop and come out. They're a lot of times going to work out of all of this hyperactivity. They're just being kids. You don't need to put them on drugs just because you're lazy and you want to sit on the couch.
Amen. There you go. I read you like a book because that's exactly what I knew you would say as a parent. I'm a grandparent and my kid's long gone out of the house, but my gosh, all it tells me is that the parents are too lazy and too self-absorbed into their own lives to really let kids be kids.
Well, and here's my thought on this. Okay, I have quite a few of my family members who suffer from ADD or ADHD, but they weren't diagnosed until later years, and I'm talking like in teen or adulthood. And so there are things, I mean, if you honestly think that your child is suffering from ADD or ADHD, there are things that you can do at home without the use of prescription drugs to help mediate that issue, i.e. take away the sugars, make sure you help your kid focus and everything like that. You can do that through diet and through exercise, but there is no reason on God's green earth, unless it's prescribed by a doctor for, say, they have a cold or, some serious health-related issue, that any kid, from 1, honestly, to 6 years old that should be taking heavy medication.
Why in the world would we want to, as parents and as a society, right away turn these kids into users? And quite frankly, that's what it is. Dependent upon drugs and medication. I am so incensed at this. There's another story I'm going to knock the microphone over. There's another story I want to get into in a few minutes that also has just created just meanness and madness in me this morning. Actually, 2 stories. But this one here, I wanted to ask you about it because you are a young mom, and Kennedy's now just turned 7 recently.
He turned 7 in March. Mm-hmm.
And I'm telling you, when I hear about these pill pushers that call themselves parents, I find that totally apprehensible.
And that's this is what I will say. I like the old school doctors, like the doctor that I take my son to. He's like, get out there, get him some exercise, run out his energy. That's
Amen.
What these kids need. They need to get out there and run. They are full of energy and wonder, and they're curious. And yes, they're going to get into things because that's what kids do.
Amen. They might chase a butterfly for 3 miles, but it might not hurt you to help run and get some of that fat tummy off.
Amen.
There you go. Thank you. I appreciate you. Mm-hmm. All right. Hey, by the way, now that I've got all the parents mad at me out there this morning, and regardless of what was said, I said some when I started, not all parents, so don't send me cards and letters and death wishes and everything else, okay? Valley White Home and Ranch, your local home and ranch store, 910 South Oneida in Rupert. Oh, my goodness. They've got everything you need for your 4-H'ers. Yeah, now listen up, 4-H'ers, because all your feed needs for your animal projects, they've They've got all your equipment needs. Everything is right there at Valleywide Home and Ranch. And oh, by the way, too, for the gardeners. Now, listen up to this. They are your spring and summer headquarters for all the lawn and garden needs, whether it's the fertilizer, whether it's the tools, whether it's all the equipment, whether it's all the clothing. You can't be a gardener unless you look like you're dressed for it. So stop in at Valleywide Home and Ranch, 910 South Oneida in Rupert, your local home and ranch store. Hey, my friends at Ramsey Heating and Electric, they're always there waiting for you, and then waiting on you. That's right. They take care of you at Ramsey Heating and Electric. All your light bulbs, all your light fixtures, all your CFL bulbs, your lamps, everything, they've got it. All your electrical needs, whether it's cords, cord ends, fuses, whatever, it's all there, where they provide warm winters and cool summers, and that's at Ramsey Heating and Electric at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. You stop in and see those really nice folks today. This story, I just caught a little bit of piece of it this morning, and I got to be honest with you that I sometimes get very emotional on my program, and I'm not ashamed of that. That's just the way I am. And when I heard this story about a veteran and the problem with the VA, I just got so mad I wanted to throw one of my boots. I was in the bedroom getting dressed, and I wanted to throw one of my boots right through the TV screen. We have been hearing so much lately about veterans and the lack of treatment with the VA and the stonewalling as far as taking care of them and the backlog and the waiting lists and everything else, and quite frankly the cover-ups by the VA. And still many VA officials are taking bonuses while many of our veterans go without any care. In Sunday's paper, and this was very chilling to me because there was a cartoon in Sunday's paper. And it was a cartoon drawn by Mike Lukovic. And Mike has a dark side to his cartoons normally. He draws for primarily the Atlanta Journal-Constitution newspaper. But this came out in Sunday's paper, and then this morning I heard about this story about a veteran, and it was so telling and chilling because it was almost like a foretelling of doom. In the paper on Sunday, they had one of our veterans sitting and kneeling with his head down, and a newspaper that said PTSD treatment lacking. And then the subheadline said, veteran suicides. And then off behind this caricature of one of our veterans was a hangman's noose, and on it were the words, support our troops. It was very chilling and very foreboding. Well, this morning, I heard a story, and this ought to just absolutely enrage you, is about a veteran that went to his VA office, and he kept begging and begging for help. He had some mental problems, and he was begging for somebody to sit down and try to help him. And the person with the VA handed him a card that was for a telephone number to the suicide hotline and said, we don't have time for you right now. Here, call this number. And the man went home and hung himself. Is that what we've become in this country? So cold and so calloused. Here's a little cardboard card with a number on it. It's for the suicide hotline. We don't have time to see you or help you now. Call this number. And the man went home and committed suicide. I certainly hope each and every one of these people that quote-unquote work for the VA, I hope they're soon unemployed. I wish them nothing but the worst that life could provide for them in their attitudes and their actions, for the way that they've treated our veterans and the way that they have basically treated these people as a number that can't come up in line because they're backlogged, and it infringes on their vacations and all their benefits at the VA. They just don't have time. They're too busy. This story just sickened me. And as I said when I saw the foreboding with that cartoon by Mike Vukovich, it just said it all. That our VA, in general, is not taking care of our soldiers and our veterans. And they're absolutely incompetent. Heads need to roll from the top down, not in the middle, not at the bottom, the top down. Shinseki should be absolutely escorted out of his office this morning and told to basically hit the road and find a job. I don't care what you do, but you're not going to be involved in government anymore. You're not going to try to serve these people with the VA because you did a lousy job. You know, I hear you turning your mic on, and you maybe think I'm a little melodramatic about this, but I'm not. It brings tears to my eyes because I'm absolutely sickened that the greatest, strongest country in the world would treat their veterans as slovenly as our country under this administration. Because right now, this president says, well, gee, I didn't know there were any major problems until I heard about it in the news. What kind of a president is that?
Well, this is what I have to say. It is because of our veterans that the people at the VA have a job. It is because of our veterans who have gone out and lost life and limb and to put their lives on the line so we can have the freedoms that we have. So it is the job of said VA to roll out the red carpet for these veterans and for our wounded warriors to make sure that they're taken care of because they put their lives on the line for you and for me and for every member that works with the VA. So
how would you feel?
On the VA.
How would you feel? Seriously, give me a short answer on this. I got a commercial break, but I'm just upset as can be about this. How would you feel if it was your brother, if it was your uncle, if it was some very, very dear friend from high school that was walking into the VA begging for some help because they knew that they had suicidal tendencies, they knew they needed help, and you were handed a card for the suicide hotline and told that they don't have time for you to go home?
Number one, I'd feel sad that my loved one did not contact me and ask me for help, number one. Number two, I would be one irate sister that you do not want to mess with, and I would raise holy hell at the VA, and I would be there every single day. As
well we all should be. I mean, we all should be. These are our brothers and sisters in general.
They are.
And I am just pathetically, I am so disgusted with this administration and their ineptness and their, okay, let's play this card a little bit. See how you like this. Isn't this a foreboding of what Obamacare could be with the death panels for you and I?
Amen. It is. This is the foreboding of how we are going to be treated. They are treating our loved ones, our veterans, those who have fought and protected us for decades. And this is how they're treating them. This is how we are going to be treated in the long term. Now, you've got 2 phone calls.
I tell you what, if they can please, if you'd tell them to hold on, I got a hard break I have to get into, and it'll take about 2 minutes. Callers, please have patience with me. I really do appreciate your calls. 4 Paws Bed and Bath. My goodness, it's good to have them back on the air. 370 West 200 south of Rupert, 438-4444. Kids Canine Camp's going to be June 14th from 10 to 4. This is really going to be a neat deal on how to groom your dog, obedience class, everything. Don't forget that. And then for seniors, they've got a free pickup and delivery service for the senior citizens for the grooming, boarding, and daycare of their puppy dogs. All you have to do is call 438-4444. Love that place, 4 Paws Bed and Bath. And that's, of course, 370 West 200 south of Rupert, 438-4444. Real quick, we're going to tell everybody about Travel Lube Supply. Good heavens, yes, 1050 West, 203 south of Hayburn. Number to call, 438-8730. All your air filter cleaning, save you money. And don't forget, too, they've got all your sprayer parts at prices knocked way, way down. Just call them and they'll tell you about the discount. Just mention my name. It's Travel Lube Supply. Tools, oils, everything. They deliver the goods. 438-8730. Real quick, we're going to go to the Capital Press Ag Minute, brought to everybody this morning by our friends at Lennox Home Comfort Systems, through our dear friends at Ramsey Heating and Electric, at, of course, 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. I'll be right back after this word.
Today's Ag Minute brought to you by the Capital Press, the West Ag Weekly. A pilot study by Cornell University researchers has found that removing chocolate milk from school cafeterias led to fewer milk sales and more wasted milk by students who did choose white milk. It also correlated with a decline in school lunch purchases. Removing flavored milk from school cafeterias in an effort to reduce students' caloric and sugar intake and reduce childhood obesity has led many school districts to limit or ban chocolate milk. The researchers found total dairy milk sales declined 9.9% and discarded milk increased 29.4%. Eliminating chocolate milk was also associated with 6.8% decrease in school lunch participation. The pilot study was funded by the USDA. This is Hannah Browse.
For more agriculture news and information, turn to the West's Ag Weekly, the Capital Press, and capitalpress.com.
Thank you very much. Brought to you by Lennox Home Comfort Systems through our friends at Ramsey Heating and Electric. Callers, I appreciate your patience. God bless you. Caller 1, go. You're on the air. Thank you.
Good morning, Zeb.
Yes, sir.
This veteran deal, it's just, those folks that are running this must not have a conscience at all. The ones that are getting the bonuses and putting the secret waiting list. I don't know how they look themselves in the mirror every morning. I can't fathom how people think to do stuff like that.
I don't know how, and I'm going to ask you, Doug, you have a real low voice. Please speak up a little bit into your receiver.
Okay.
I'm having a hard time hearing this morning anyway, so speak up. I agree with you. I mean, when you go to job in the morning and you sit there and go, oh, gee, it's just a job. I can't wait to get out of here and go with the girls later or the guys later and have a drink after work. You can't approach something like this, working for the VA with just nothing more than a job. How could anybody sit there and somebody comes in and they're begging for help because they have suicidal tendencies, they've got PTSD, and they're begging for the VA to send them someplace for help, and they hand them a card for the suicide hotline and say goodbye?
That's disgusting.
No, it's worse than that, Doug. It's inhumane, and it's so absolutely low that these people should be just absolutely thrown out the door right now, this morning. They should be fired.
They should be. No benefits, no severance, no retirement, no nothing. Get out there and, But one guy I was listening to on the news, one was talking about the deal with the veterans. The doctors are paid salary. So they don't have to see patients. And they said a team of cardiologists at the VA seen as many patients as one cardiologist did in a private practice.
Wow.
On the team, I'm not sure how many doctors it was, but I'm sure it was more than 2 or 3.
Okay, Doug, let me just ask you this real quick. I got other calls waiting, and I want to make sure everybody gets a fair shot. How in the world could you run a department, the Veterans Administration, so slovenly and so absolutely amateur that you can't, number one, see the problems, number two, you can't see that you've got backlogs, number three, you can't see that people are not being treated and they're staying home, many of which have died, many of which have committed suicide. And if you can't see that you've got these various problems, then maybe from the top down, we need people that can observe and take care of things.
Exactly. It's not that they can't see it, Zeb. I just think they don't give a damn. They're just there for the money. They're there for the paycheck. They got a job.
I can't argue that. As a matter of fact, I think it's just absolutely apprehensible, but I do agree with you. Doug, I got to get these other people in there always. God bless you, man. Thanks. Thank you. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Zeb. The last caller made the comment I was going to call in on, so I won't elaborate, but if you look at our bureaucracy, it works the same way. We hire these government employees. It don't matter whether they do a good job or a bad job. They still get bonuses and, increases in pay on a regular basis. It's just a sign that our bureaucracy does not work, and the hospital is set up on a bureaucratic type type of program. It just will never work. People that don't have to do are lazy.
Yeah.
And will be lazy.
Yeah.
It treats them to be lazy, and it makes them waste our money.
I agree with you, Jerry, and
I'll get out of the way.
all right, my dear friend.
And go vote.
That's right. Go vote. God bless. Thank you very much, Jerry. I appreciate it. Now, after the program yesterday, when I made some comments about the VA, right away somebody had to call on my cell phone and kind of jump on me a little bit and say, oh, we find out that the VA in Boise's doing a great job, and why did you criticize everybody? You weren't listening. You weren't listening. Yesterday, as I stated, some of the areas around the United States have reported these very atrocious and heinous acts going on against our veterans. If Boise's treating our veterans fine, I said some, I didn't say all, and I even mentioned about some of the people that have said they're getting excellent treatment here in the state of Idaho. But listen before you jump on someone and criticize. That's true in a lot of cases. But in this case, where we are seeing, whether it's Phoenix, whether it's back east, whether it's Chicago, whether it's in Cheyenne, Wyoming, all the problems that are coming up because there's not due diligence to provide the promised benefits and service that our servicemen signed up for, we got a problem. And it better be rectified. And furthermore, when the President of the United States says, and this really lacks confidence from all of us, I think, to the President, that, oh, well, I learned about the VA lists and the problems from the news media. This is not the first time that Obama has said and departed himself from the problem. Oh, I learned about that in the news media. Gee, I just heard about that yesterday. Well, I heard about that on the news. The President of the United States every morning has a meeting, first and foremost, with every one of his key staff members to fill him in on what's happening around the globe and what's happening here in the good old U.S. of A. To have him make an excuse to the American public, to which we are, I guess, gullible enough to buy, well, I didn't know about this problem until, holy cow, I heard about it in the news. That is as bogus can be. His feet ought to be held to the fire as much as VA Secretary Shinseki. This president, by the way, if you want to call him that, I'm refusing to call him a president anymore. With all these scandals and this ineptness, Fast and Furious guns to Mexico, IRS scandal, Benghazi, NSA spying scandal, VA scandal now. We've got a Marine that took a wrong turn at Tijuana, and last night on the news I saw that route he took. It would be easy to take the wrong turn to go into Tijuana instead of back to the United States. He is in a jail in Mexico now for 5 weeks. Secretary of State John Kerry's going to Mexico. Let's see if Kerry exhorts anything as far as effort is concerned to get this man out of prison. We're letting thousands of illegals cross our border and come into the United States, and our country won't demand that a Marine that took a wrong turn is released? Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Jeb. It's a crying shame what's going on, but like I said, when I finally quit him, it was because I seen that kid from over in Afghanistan. I mean, he was hurting bad, and they said, "Oh, we can't help you right now. We have to wait 2 or 3 weeks." I said, "Bull." I said, "You take my spot," and I got up and walked out of there.
Yeah.
That's just what was going on. That was back during Bush's time.
The problem is not, and I said this yesterday.
Now, that's what I'm trying to get across. It's not like it is now.
Well, no. But the point is, and you bring up a good point, the problem has been exacerbated for quite some time, and it's not just new to this administration. It started a long time ago. But it's reached a culmination of all these mistakes, all this amateuristic approach, all this ineptness through the Obama administration. And Al, I can't buy anything like the president saying, "Oh, yeah, I heard about it in the news."
Yeah, I know. That's a sick excuse. But, I've always been an advocate, and I wish the Senate and everything else in the government would pay the hell attention to what we're going to say. I say, take the veterans and all that stuff, give them a card, let them go to their own doctor, and then, work with the VA. But don't let it go to the VA offices because they're so busy playing checkers and that they ain't got time. Let your doctor take care of you and let the VA foot the bill.
Amen. All right, Al, I appreciate that. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you.
Have a good one.
Well, I'll tell you what, I don't even know if I want to get into that other story this morning. I'll take some more calls on this. I'm just sickened by what's going on with our veterans and how they're being treated or not treated. Give me a call. Don't forget Barry Equipment and Rental. And believe me, they've got 3 locations to serve you. Addison Avenue West in Twin Falls, South Lincoln and Jerome, and that new location. Wow. I mean, they are so busy with their rentals and their sales at 159 West Highway 30 in Burley. That is a great location. They've got all the Coyote tractors. They got a whole herd of them over there. They've got all the Doosan loaders and excavators, and they've got all the Bobcats. I mean, holy cow. You better stop in if you need equipment. It's right there. And they still are looking for some really, really good mechanics at all 3 locations. So you stop in and see them today on Addison and Twin Falls, on South Lincoln and Jerome, and Highway 30 in Burley. The best. Barry Equipment and Rental, serving you. Give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Once again, don't forget Lennox Home Comfort Systems, gas furnaces, air conditioners, and heat pumps, all through our friends at Ramsey Heating and Electric at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. You stop in and see them today. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Zeb. I feel that one of the problems is the people working there are civil service. And my feeling, because I worked in civil service till I couldn't stand it anymore, is they're like seagulls. All they do is eat, squawk, crap, and are protected by the government. And it's just... there's just too many of them that don't do their job.
Let me ask you this, Carl. Let me ask you this question. Okay, so how do we, the people that basically are paying the bills, how do we get involved in saying government red tape isn't going to last anymore? We're going to get rid of you. We're going to fire you. We're going to get competent people in there. It seems like once the government hires, they're there for the duration and we can't get rid of them. What do we do?
That's it. What happens is they're there for a year. If they don't get fired by them, they make them permanent. Once they're permanent, you can't get rid of them. And so, consequently, you have all of these people that will work for a year, and then they say, okay, I've got it made now. And that's it. They just, you'll see 2 or 3 of them sitting around eating crackers and drinking coffee, and for a pretty good amount of time. It just, we've got to have another system as far as civil service goes.
Absolutely. As far as your service was concerned, Carl, and you were in the United States Navy, I mean, how do you equate from 30, 40, 50 years ago to today? Why has the system denigrated itself to the point where it is today?
In my opinion, it's been the union. They all belong. When you go to work for the federal government, you have to join a union, or they have to represent you. You don't have to join. But when you try to fire one of these people, you're going to have a lawsuit on your hands. And I know I had to go to court a couple of times. And I got beat down one time because a guy wouldn't do his job. And so I fired him. Mm-hmm. And lo and behold, he took me to court and won.
Oh, my goodness.
So, it's almost impossible to get rid of them.
All right. Well, Carl, I appreciate your candor on this, and thank you so much. And God's blessings to you, my dear friend. Thank you for your call. Appreciate it. Thank you. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Morning, Zeb.
Yes, sir.
You know, like I told you before, I went to the VA for 20-some years. And one time I was there, the doctor that I had was excellent. And that was, I started way back then when I didn't find a good doctor here. But I have a really good doctor here. And so I really don't need the VA anymore. But the doctor that I had, I complimented him how well the Boise VA was. And he says, well, all for a few things. He says, there's some areas we don't have any treatment whatsoever. That's the post-stress deal. Mm-hmm. And I says, well, why don't you just get it corrected? And he says, well, why don't you write a letter to Senator Craig? He's the one that's heading this up. He's in charge of the VA. Mm-hmm. So this stemmed way back then, and Senator Craig, apparently, I didn't know the position he held at that time, but apparently he had a lot to say about this and didn't say it. Another thing, I think that they need to just do away with the VA totally. And any veteran that's on disability, if it's more than 10% disability, he ought to automatically go into the Social Security.
Let me ask you a question, Dwayne. Wait, whoa, stop. A real quick question to you. You said do away with the VA, but when you look at the internal mechanics of the Veterans Administration and all the people employed and all the services supposedly that are represented and given as benefits to our soldiers, how could you, I'm asking you to give me a short answer on this, how could you do away, quote, with the VA?
Well, all the money that you're spending on these people that are just sitting around. I went to the VA in Michigan, and I could not believe it. All I needed to do was pick up some medicine that I forgot to bring with me. And I went in there, and I spent the whole day in there, and these two girls were sitting back there, and they would look at me every once in a while, and finally, when the doctor finally got a hold of me, he could not believe that I was in there all day. These two girls, they didn't do anything but just sit there and talk and eat, and it was ridiculous. They're wasting money with it. They could put all that money into the Social Security system.
Oh, I see what you're saying. All right, Dwayne, I got to do a weather forecast again. I appreciate your input this morning. Thank you. God bless you, my friend. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, sir. Weather forecast and MichaelRogersWeather.com brought to you this hour by Riverview Urgent Care and Medical Center at 382 North Overland in Burley, 678-6996. Minor emergencies, major care. You better believe it. Breaks, sprains, strains, all the everyday illnesses and injuries, sore throats, cuts, rashes. They'll take care of you. That's right. At Riverview Urgent Care and Medical Center. Here now is the weather.
Hello, everyone. Michael Rogers from MichaelRogersWeather.com. You know, if you're a photographer, you need to listen to this because folks in the Magic Valley, especially in the eastern Magic Valley, Burley, Oakley, you know who I'm talking about. You guys are pretty good at taking pictures of lightning. You're going to have some lightning chances for tonight, also possibly Wednesday morning and Wednesday night. All right, so in our forecast today, everything's going to look good till lunchtime, and then you're going to see clouds developing and chance of a shower or thunderstorm. And it's going to continue into tonight. It's going to continue into tomorrow. High today, 73. Low tonight, 48. High tomorrow, 72. Enjoy the weather. It's the only weather you got.
Thank you very much, Michael. Brought to you by Riverview Urgent Care and Medical Center, 382 North Overland in Burley. The doctor will see you now at 678-6996. Calls are welcome and appreciated. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. And please, I urge you to go vote this morning. Please. All day the polls will be open. Please go vote. And let's make sure we exercise one of the greatest privileges of anywhere in the world, right here in this great, free, still free, United States of America. All right, calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Before the show started this morning, Gina and I had a little bit of a conversation on the phone, as we always do, and I was telling her, and I'm going to try to get this gentleman on the program tomorrow morning in the first hour, Andy Johnson from Fort Bridger, Wyoming. Did I hear that cow moo, Gina, or am I just at old age hearing things?
Old age hearing things.
I knew you'd be very emphatic. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
But anyway, this gentleman, and I'm going to quickly go through this story so that you can get a synopsis of how evil the EPA is. Andy Johnson, all he wanted to do was build a stock pond on his 8-acre Wyoming farm. He had a little farm or a little ranchette, whatever you want to call it. And he and his wife, Katie, along with their children, they spent hours and hours and hours building this little stock pond and filling it with crystal clear water, bringing in brook and brown trout, and all the ducks and the geese were there, and it's a place where his horses could drink and graze around, and a lot of the elk and the deer came in there and everything, and he had the state permits, as a matter of fact. He's got a letter from the Wyoming State Engineer's Office to prove that everything was dated and okayed back in April, but the EPA has come in, and now they claim that they are going to threaten him with civil and criminal penalties to the point of charging him $75,000 a day. He has to take that pond out and get rid of it all the way. There can't be any sign of the pond left on his property, and he has to disassemble it. But at the time he's been served this issuance from the EPA, he's being charged $75,000 a day, and God bless him, he said, I have not paid them a dime, nor will I. Andy Johnson said, I will go bankrupt if I have to, fighting it. My wife and I built the pond together. We put our blood, sweat, and tears into it. It was our dream. The EPA is not going to stop me from having my pond on my property. He's not hurting anything. He is not hurting anything, and he's being charged now by the EPA to get rid of it under the Clean Water Act regulations. They want total control, and they said they're going to come after him at $75,000 a day. Quickly, go ahead, Gina.
Remember the couple that was going through the same thing up in Coeur d'Alene?
Yep.
And they took it to the Supreme Court. I think, honestly, that's what this couple should do as well.
I want to read this, and then you can respond to this also. The proposed changes would give the EPA a say in all ponds, lakes, wetlands, and any stream, natural or man-made, that would have an effect on any possible downstream navigable waters on both public and private property. And if compliance order stands as an example of how the EPA intends to operate after completing its current Waters of the United States rulemaking, it should give pause to each and every landowner throughout the country. So, here's what I'm advocating. I'm going to advocate that each and every one of us go out and dig a little pond. I don't care if it's a foot wide and a foot deep. I don't care what it is. A little pond on our property. And I have one already, a little fish pond for Deanne. And I'm basically daring the EPA and their thugs and punks to come onto our property, your property, any other property, and make the same recension that we have to get rid of those little ponds. They are absolutely coming on like mafia hitmen. And the EPA order on January 30th gave this man, Andy Johnson, 30 days to hire a consultant and have him or her assess the impact of the supposed unauthorized discharges. Oh, my. Pardon me?
Two words that I have that this will lead to. Eminent domain.
Yeah. I mean, we no longer own our property, can't do anything on it, and he had the permits from the state of Wyoming, but the EPA wants to come in like they are the omnipotent overseer, and they are in control. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Yeah, Zeb, this thing is so deep and dark that... we don't hear anything about it really. For instance, a dairyman who had satisfied the EPA, the Idaho Department of environmental quality, the DEQ, said, well, that ain't good enough. These people are overstepping each other, sometimes duplicating each other, and they made him dig a pond, and it cost him another $82,000 like it was just nothing.
Yeah.
Like $82,000 is nothing. And I said, well, geez. And he says, to hell with it. I just did it. Well, thank God he had the money to do it.
Yeah, but I'll tell you something. I still adhere to the fact that we ought to just all stand in rebellion for people like Andy Johnson and others. And we all ought to dig a little pond in our backyard. You fill yours with water, I'll fill mine with water. I'll go build a little sailboat, you go build a little sailboat. You come over and play in my backyard on Tuesdays, I'll come over and play in your backyard on Thursdays, and we will thumb our nose or whatever to the EPA.
Well, this is the thing. They literally, I'm repeating myself here again, the act of tilling the soil creates greenhouse gas. The act of composting, every time you stir the compost pile, you release greenhouse gas.
Oh, yeah.
You can't, again, like you said, a pond, a ditch. I mean, they are already all over bigger farmers, the fertilizer companies, the chemical companies, they're dairymen, they're in our lives, and I'm telling you, we've got nobody.
That's
that
right.
Seems to care, and Simpson is on the Appropriations Committee for funding of the EPA. Now, I haven't heard him say anything about it, and that's, again, this is my opinion about Simpson. So,
well, okay, but right now, I'm not going to turn it into political on vote day. And
I'm not
all right, but what I'm going to say, Randy, is I'm out of time. Look at your watch. I've got to run, buddy, but call me back on this later. Okay, thank you. I got to tell everybody, too, about our friends at your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. All 7 locations with the best tire value promise in the industry. Free peace of mind tire protection. Whatever the road throws at you, from potholes to nails, you're going to be covered. You better believe it. Les Schwab Tire Centers. All the tires, all the front end alignments, all the shocks and struts, the batteries, the brake service, extraordinaire. Man, it is great. They take care of you. Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family and Paul, John on Poline and Twin Falls, and Randy on Overland and Burley. All 7 of them, the best. Your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Got to run to the news. And I, by the way, am going to try to get Andy Johnson from Fort Bridger, Wyoming, on the program tomorrow and let him know that we support him and his pond. And I still think we all ought to dig a pond in our backyard and thumb our noses at the EPA. Gina had a better idea, but we'll let that one ride. We'll see you back in 6. Don't go away. Well. Welcome back. Good morning. Hour number 2, Zeb at the Ranch. I'm Zeb Bell with our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. All your great people are with your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. That's right, 7 locations. And, of course, don't forget, too, some of our great advertisers like Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More at 459 Overland and Burley, and our friends with Western Waste Services.
From the canyons of the Snake River and all across southern Idaho, we're always at your disposal. Western Waste Services, we care about our community, our resources, and this great land. Western Waste Services is landing ahead, always at your disposal. Western Waste Services.
Oh my, I'm telling you, they've got the dumpsters in various sizes, and if you're cleaning up, you said, I've had enough, I've got so much clutter and I got so much junk, I'm going to get rid of it. Well, I'll tell you what, they've got the dumpsters in various sizes. Get on the route service, they'll come by, pick up your garbage, it's gone, it's out of there. All you have to do is just give them a jingle, 734-6969. Western Waste Services, yep, you betcha, they are always at your disposal. Ladies and gentlemen, also, go vote. I'm telling you to go vote today. Is the primary day in the state of Idaho. No excuses, no complaints. Go vote. Don't forget, on Thursdays at 9:12 on my program, we have a segment called Vicky's Country Gardens. And Vicky's Country Gardens is located at 185 South, 600 West of Paul. Now, the program is called Gardening for Idiots, named after me. And believe me, if you have questions for the program, Gardening for Idiots, just give us a call with any questions you have, and the gardening expert, Miss Vicky, will answer. That's on Thursdays at 9:12, brought to you by Vicky's Country Garden, 185 South, 600 West of Paul. And real quick, I also want to remind you about our friend Joel Heward and his staff at Hanson Mortuary, 710 6th Street in Rupert, a family place serving you, regardless of whether you can make it in to talk to them or not, and plan funeral arrangements. They will come to you. They travel to rural towns and churches and will help you with all the arrangements. You don't have to try to find them. Just call. They will be there to help you. 436-5636. That's the number. Hanson Mortuary, 710 6th Street in Rupert. Joel Heward, manager-owner. Please give them a call today at 436-5636. We're going to go to the phone line right now. Just a minute. I got to clear my voice. I had a couple of sugar cookies. I know I broke my diet. I had a couple of Deanne's homemade sugar cookies here this morning. Ooh, baby, they were good. Right now, we're going to go to the phone line and talk to the Institute of Energy Research Director of State and Regulatory Affairs, Dan Simmons. Good morning. I had a cookie. You didn't. Ha-ha. How are you?
Good work, Seb.
Hey, I got to ask you this morning. We are in such a sad state of affairs in this country with a lack of energy, a lack of an energy program. This Obama administration is, one word sums it up, pathetic. And yet they have the guts to say, oh, we hate coal, we hate everything about fossil fuels, we're going to really push green energy. But at that same time, one of their big bosom buddies, this Tom Steyer, has actually been raking in a lot of money on the coal business when he's been preaching just green energy only. What kind of hypocrites have we got back there?
Well, the guy's a complete hypocrite. I mean, it is just that simple. You know, I have no problem with people that disagree with me politically, that disagree with kind of, you know, my ideology. I just ask one thing, and that is to be consistent. Like, if you're going to say that people shouldn't, should live this low carbon lifestyle and shouldn't use very much energy, if you're going to tell other people they should do that, then you need to do the same thing yourself. If you're going to tell us that we can't build the Keystone XL pipeline because of carbon dioxide emissions, well, then you better not be using any energy, and you better have, your life better be lived in accordance with those kind of principles. Today we have Tom Steyer. He's talking about spending $100 million in the upcoming election to fight the Keystone XL pipeline, to give money to people that say that they will, reject it at all costs. And it turns out, like, he's a billionaire hedge fund manager, and they made millions and millions of dollars buying coal mines, coal-fired power plants in Asia, and flipping those, buying them and then selling them. So this is how he's made his money, and now he tells us that that these sources of energy, whether it's coal or oil, are not good enough for us, but they were perfectly good enough for him to make his millions and billions.
Daniel, I got to give you some credit, because it was I don't know, maybe back in March or February, I can't remember. I had you on the program, and I asked you specifically if you thought that Obama would give the okay and the nod yes to Keystone, and you hedged a little bit and said, I don't think so. I think that he's going to hedge on this thing and stall it as long as he can. What would it take to have the American public finally start standing up on their hind legs again and reaching out and saying with their hands around somebody's throat, do it now? We've had enough of this imbecilic reaction to a no-energy policy. Do it now. What's it going to take to get the public to do this?
It's a good question, and the reality is there's no way it's going to happen before November, for the very simple reason that that there are, too many people that want Tom Steyer's money. When he's dangling $100 million in campaign contributions to these people and help in, for him running ads, when he's talking about spending that kind of money, there's a whole lot of people that are like, gimme. And, as a result, it won't happen before the election. There's possibilities that it could happen afterwards, but then again, you have to look at President Obama's incentives. And, there is one demographic that does not support the Keystone XL pipeline, and that is rich Democrats. And those are the people that President Obama panders to every single day of his administration. So, the American people can get ticked off, but President Obama isn't going to listen to us because he doesn't care about us. He doesn't care about the economy. He doesn't care about the price of energy. So for all that stuff, the country can go to pot because he has certain things that he wants to get done. It's to radically change healthcare, to radically change our energy system, and whatever else happens doesn't matter. All that matters to him is that those priorities.
I can't argue with the thing you said, nor do I want to, Dan, because I agree with you. Unfortunately, we see the clandestine trail that this man is on. He is out for a socialist left bent for America. He doesn't like any fossil fuels. He doesn't want any progress. I don't see anything good about this man. I never did, ever since he came into prominence on the national scene. But what really gripes me is that we, the United States taxpayers, we literally are helping others progress with their energy programs, like this company that Steyer's tied to, Ritilan, and we're aiding and assisting other countries to create better energy programs while we're denigrating our own, and I find this an impeachable offense, almost to the point where this man, Obama, should be thrown out of office because of his un-American activities. Your response?
Well, it's crazy. Do you remember a few years ago he went to Brazil, and in Brazil he said, hey, we want to buy your oil. Hey, Barack Obama, how about just letting us buy oil from the Canadians, just right across the border? Why is that so tough? What's wrong about being able to buy oil that's produced, more oil that's produced offshore in America? What about, being able to produce more oil that's produced on federal lands? What about being able to produce more on federal lands in Alaska, where they're, where it's very close to the Trans-Alaska pipeline? Like, why tell the Brazilians, who, I have nothing against the Brazilians, in fact, I like the Brazilians, that, hey, we want to buy your oil, as opposed to, very simply, hey, America, we want to buy your oil. We want to buy the oil from, our fellow Americans that produce it right here. There is just this, this mentality in the White House that is disconnected from, what the things that matter for, for the rest of us, for the rest of America. And, we see it every single day, that their priorities are just not the same priorities as the rest of us. And, you mentioned it, that, we have to vote. We have to be fired up. There has to be, that our elected officials have to see how mad we are. Mm-hmm. We are mad, so that they get mad. Because one of the things that's happened over years is that Congress has given the executive branch too much power, and now the courts, frequently go along and say, well, if EPA wants to do that, well then fine. If they want to do this other thing, it might be stretching the law. But you know what? Congress hasn't reined in EPA, so we're not going to either. And that's what we need. We need our members of Congress to be griping every single day about the regulatory overreach. We need our members of Congress to be ticked off all the time. So the president or future presidents have no choice, and they cannot be as bad as this guy has been.
Daniel, this is kind of off track, off subject a little bit this morning, but you're like Fred Astaire, quick on your feet. I know you'll adjust and have an answer for this. But recently, one of the nations, and the world for that matter, top scientists left the group of scientists scientists that believe in climate change and global warming. As a matter of fact, he came out and he's being ostracized, he's being criticized, he's being absolutely made fun of by the so-called follow like sheep other people that believe in Obama's climate change. And climate change, as far as I'm reading, and all the studies and all the people I've talked to and all the scientists and all the great teachers of science at various colleges and universities that have talked to me have said climate change is not man-made. We're going through a cyclical pattern, and for the last 17 years, the Earth has not warmed. As a matter of fact, it's going into a severe cooling trend. But these people in government are selling us down the drain with no energy for one purpose, and I think the word is a 7-letter word called control. Would you agree with that dissertation or not?
Oh, completely. I mean, that is what this is all about. Like, if they were serious about energy, I mean, if they were serious about energy, if they were serious about climate change, one of the things they would be talking about is, hey, you know what? We have all these global warming models. We've spent billions upon billions. We've spent tens of billions of dollars making these computer models, and right now the models are predicting much more warming than we've actually seen. So maybe we have some problem. The fact that these mainstream climate scientists won't admit that basic fact really tells you that what is going on here. And because what is going on is it is 100% politics, it's 100% politically driven, and the reason that it's politically driven is because it's all about control. Coming in on June 2nd, the administration is going to come out with a new regulation for that will regulate greenhouse gases from existing power plants. The entire point of this rule, which will be legally suspect, is to give EPA greater control over existing power plants, greater control over existing coal-fired power plants, greater control over existing natural gas-fired power plants. And really, I mean, you hit the nail on the head. The point here is control. There is no other point. And one of the ways that you know that is because when this rule comes out, there is no way that what they're going to talk about is, this is about climate change. Therefore, this rule will result in, X reduction in global temperature. They won't say that, which if it doesn't have an impact on global temperature, it's not about global temperature. It's about control.
Okay, now I've got a follow-up question to that, Dan, but we have a caller with a question, so I'm going to put them on first, and then I'll come back to that. Caller, go ahead, please.
Yes, one of the things that I've noticed in my studies is that and some of these energy companies are being bought and controlled by liberals who either make money from the government because of grants or whatever, or they're controlling these coal companies and natural gas companies, and then their intent is to, if they have to shut it down or do whatever they feel like. And the depth that they have gone into this is, the entangled web is just hard to even fathom. So I want you to comment on that. And then this 500-day thing before this, eco-destruction, catastrophic destruction in 500 days. When it doesn't happen in 500 days, do you think that anybody will have remembered what this so-called expert has said? I'll hang up. Thanks.
All right, go ahead and respond to that multiple question, please.
When there's not a climate change catastrophe, we will remember, but unfortunately the people that continue to make those sorts of claims will definitely not. I mean, on that exact point, back in the late 60s and the 70s, Paul Ehrlich and John Holdren wrote these books about our impending population crisis, how we're going to run out of energy, how everything is horrible. Where's John Holdren today? He's President Obama's science advisor. So
that's right.
Even though the guy's been wrong for 40 years, he's now one of the most, he's whispering in the ear of the president every single day on energy and climate. So, look, you don't have to be right. In fact, the more wrong you are, the more this administration is going to like what you have to say. So that's one thing. The other thing is that one of the biggest problems that we have sometimes in energy issues is that companies that should be with us, oil companies or particularly oil companies, because they're oil and gas frequently, is that they think that they will be able to game the system. They think that they will be able to, produce more natural gas and take advantage of coal, and so that they will be able to take advantage of other companies using the regulatory system. And that is absolutely wrong, and it's absolutely crazy, because what they don't understand is, guys, the environmentalists, it's not that the environmentalists dislike coal, and once coal goes away that they will be appeased. What they dislike is they dislike energy. And what they understand is that, controlling energy is controlling the economy, and that's what they really want. They want control of the economy, and they won't stop until they got it. So quit appeasing them. It's really just that simple.
Dan, as a follow-up prior to that call, I want to just mention this, and I want to see if you agree with this. The newspapers, USA Today, leads the charge, along with most of the media, ABC, CBS, NBC. And they had a predestined series of stories that started approximately 4 weeks ago, like, we're all going to die. It's a Holocaust. Why, we're going to burn up. Oh, this is the last minute. Everybody prepare for doomsday, about climate change. Everybody is in lockstep with this administration on what they have fed to the various media through the Obama administration, because he knows he only has a short period of time, less than 2 years, to get this thing done. I'm telling you, the media is our biggest culprit right now. Would you agree or disagree?
Oh, totally. I mean, one of our biggest challenges is that if you look at environmental groups, a group like the Natural Resources Defense Council or, Sierra Club, they have these gigantic press shops. They have these gigantic communications departments where it's like 20 people or more. And what their job is, they frequently come from newspapers, they've come from TV, and they have all these journalistic contacts. So they're out there pushing every single day these stories, and especially in the run-up to this regulation coming out June 2, they talk to people in the administration, and so that every single day they're pushing it. There's more than there's more than 20 environmental organizations that have a budget of over $20 million. Do you know how many free market or conservative groups there are that are focused solely on energy and environment that have a budget of over $20 million? Not a single one. So that's what this is all about. It is big money, big green is out there pushing this crap. That's where, and a lot of reporters are just honestly lazy, and so that they're like, oh, well, this looks like a good story, I'm going to run it. And that's why we see it time and time again in the run-up to, these regulations coming out, to tell people that it is gloom and doom, it's climate disaster, and if we don't let the federal government take control of our lives and take control of our energy, that it's going to be like game over for, the planet and game over for our economy. And that's just crazy, and it's just exactly wrong.
Yeah. One final thought here, Dan, and I know this might be looking into a crystal ball somewhat, but how do you see in the next 6 months, 12 months, or for the duration of Obama's career as president up until 2016, how do you see the cost effects to the public, mom and dad, etc., for the next 2 years?
When it comes to electricity, we're going to be seeing higher electricity prices, pretty much guaranteed, just because of the regulations that Obama has put in place. There are, if you look at electricity prices around the country, there's two ways that you have low-cost electricity. One, you guys in Idaho, enjoy, and that is a large amount of hydro, a large amount of large hydro. The problem is you can't build any more large hydro in the U.S., so the other way that you get cheap electricity is by a large amount of coal, and a lot of those coal plants are going to be shutting, so we're going to be seeing higher electricity prices. When it comes to oil, thank goodness for private property, thank goodness for Texas, thank goodness for entrepreneurs out in North Dakota that have created the hydraulic fracturing revolution and producing a lot more oil that the federal government, it's really hard for them to touch. If the federal government could come in and regulate hydraulic fracturing, we're going to see much higher oil prices. If not, our oil prices might continue to be kind of, blah at the current amount, but they won't be, skyrocketing upward. But if the federal government can get their hands on it, that means higher prices. So we're going to be seeing higher electricity prices, but hopefully oil prices will remain more or less constant, all thanks to the fact that we still have some private property in this country.
Amen. You are tops. I really appreciate you coming on the program. The Institute for Energy. We have a quick call. I'm going to have 1 minute. 1 minute, caller. Do not go long. I'm going to have him answer. Go ahead, fast.
Good morning. My question for your guest is, do you think the other nations in the world are laughing at us at our policy on global warming? And I'll listen to you. Thank you.
That's a good question. Go ahead, Daniel. I believe we are the laughing stock of the world right now. What's your response?
I think so. The people that understand things in other countries are definitely laughing at us. A country like Germany just built, a whole bunch, over 5 gigawatts of new coal capacity last year, even though they talk about reducing global warming. So they understand they want their economy to have, abundant electricity, and they're doing something about it. We just, we live with this guy, which means higher electricity prices as opposed to trying to reduce them.
I appreciate you, my dear friend. Director of State and Regulatory Affairs for the IER, Daniel Simmons. Please come back in the near future. Thank you so much. God bless.
Sure thing, Zeb.
Thank you. Very, very smart and well-informed individual, Daniel Simmons with the Institute for Energy Research. And not a very pleasant picture with Obama, never has been. And what he's doing to our electrical grids, trying to tear coal off the page, and rising energy prices in general, thanks to his green energy campaign, which will never work. Never work. But we're subjected to his ruthless power. I can talk more about that later. Anyhow, I want to also remind you about our friends at Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More. Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More, and you can have, they're going to have a great big 36-hour Memorial Day, kind of a great big huge sale, up to 50% off, up to 50% off. It's going to end on Monday, Memorial Day, and all in stock accessories, buy one, get the second one for 50% off. Woo! Everything is going to be on sale. You betcha you better stop in and check out all the motion furniture and recliners. Save up to 50%. Oh my goodness, they've got all the closeout on dining room and bar stools and china hutches and more. You could save up to 50%. What are you waiting for? Better plan on it. They're going to be open Memorial Day 10 to 4. Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More. 459 Overland in Burley, serving you. Really nice people. And when I also talk about nice people, I've got to brag about what's going on over at Let's Ride, where the fun is sold. You better believe summer hours, they're open Mondays through Saturdays, 9 to 6. Holy cow, they got all their power equipment on sale, and now is the time to buy a new generator, and they've got several varieties to choose from over at Let's Ride. And they got the Can-Am side-by-sides, rebates and great financing, fun in the hills, you better believe it. And the best doggone service department you'll ever find. I guarantee you. I know because I take my bikes over there. Let's Ride, Highway 24 between Rupert and Burley, where the fun is sold. You stop over and see them today. Oh my, in just a moment we're going to have Christine Harbin-Hansen on our program this morning and discussing complete waste of our money. Before we do that, I want to remind everybody again about Riverview Urgent Care and Medical Center, 382 North Overland in Burley. Don't forget 678-6996. Minor emergencies, major care. The doctor will see you now, right now. That's right. Whether you're having infections to deal with or headaches or break sprains and strains, sore throats, coughs, everything, all the everyday illnesses and injuries, they can help you. They will help you. And they are super nice people. And believe me, they're open Monday through Saturday, 9 to 9, Sundays 1 to 7. Riverview Urgent Care and Medical Center, 382 North Overland in Burley. The number 678-6996. Minor emergencies, major care. Let's go to the phone line right now, and my next guest is the lovely and still newly married Christine Harbin-Hansen. Good morning with Americans for Prosperity. How are you, Christine?
Hey, Zeb, it's actually Tom, Christine's colleague. She's unavailable at the moment, so she asked me to fill in for her.
Well, I tell you what, Tom, you scared me to death with that deep voice because I knew right away I had problems in River City.
So sorry to throw you off there.
Not a problem. Tom, we were talking about having Christine come on the program and talk about America's Export-Import Bank that really is a complete sham and a waste of our money. When I read the story that was written by Eric Peterson about this Export-Import Bank, I was absolutely appalled that our taxpayer dollars are going everywhere to help somebody else but us. Give us a little explanation about this.
Sure. Well, I mean, this really is. This is just a prime example of corporate welfare. You know, the U.S. taxpayer dollars going overseas for loan guarantees to benefit, to benefit multinational companies, which, quite frankly, don't need these loan guarantees. These are successful companies that do very well, but it's free money to them, so they don't have to go to private lenders like every other, tax-paying citizen in this country. Instead, they get free money from the U.S. government to provide loan guarantees to foreign countries to promote their products and to promote exports. So it really is corporate welfare at its worst.
How do they apply for this, and why? I guess these are gullible, naive questions. How do they apply for this money? And secondarily, why aren't our congressmen and senators more aware and knowing about where this money's going, and it's certainly not helping United States citizens? Why aren't they jumping up in the air and saying something negative?
Right. Well, I think in terms of how these companies get this money, these are obviously big. These are massive companies that have a lot of connections to Washington. That really, don't have to. It's not very much of a process. It's very simple for them. They obviously have a lot of high-powered connections that allow them to gain access to this money. And with regards to your other question. Politicians are very well aware of this. The bank has to get reauthorization from the House of Representatives and the Senate. And quite frankly, I think that they just don't see it as that big of a problem because the Export-Import Bank has been around for so long and don't really understand what kind of how much of a corporate handout this is to these companies. So. I think that therein lies kind of the problem, and that it's just been around for so long. But I think that we're trying to really make this more of an issue and trying to, and bring this to their attention that really that this isn't really something that these corporations should get, quite frankly.
Okay, Tom, but the part, and I read this story, and then all of a sudden I reread a couple of paragraphs, and here's what's really bugging me, and every single listener that's listening to this segment should be outraged. The loan of this money to whatever, these foreign countries, Saudi Arabia, Russia, China, etc., okay, well and good, we loaned the money, but we, the American people, are on the hook, and we're assuming the risk if there's default of the loan. And I'll be quite honest with you, I'm not co-signing for any Rusky or any Chinese because I don't trust them.
No, look, I think that's a very valid concern and one that we're trying to raise to them. You're absolutely right about that. We, the American people, are on the hook for these loans. Now, the Export-Import Bank, I think they will try and kind of talk that away and just say, well, these are the rate of default is very low. I think, quite frankly, that's irrelevant. The fact that you and I, as American taxpayers, could potentially have to, could potentially be liable for this is absurd, and it's not something that American citizens should be happy about. And they should be. I think that we're trying to really educate them and trying to tell them that we should not be on the hook for this at all. And I think your concern is quite valid.
Okay, Tom. The last I heard, there were economists, of course, the Treasury Department and everybody else was saying, oh, my goodness, we don't have the money. We're broke. And I look upon the great big debt clock, and I see a big 18 that precedes a whole bunch of other numbers that tells me we're $18 trillion in debt. Now, that being said, my dear friend Tom, how in the world can we loan money to help somebody else at a very minimal interest rate and then stand possibly the cost of the loss of the debt when we're broke? You got to help me on this. I'm an old man and I'm stupid.
Well, Well, I think, unfortunately, it's just Washington business as usual. Not concerned about the debts that we're running up and the deficits that we're running up for our children and grandchildren. So I think that you're right. The math is just the simple math of that seems to escape the folks here in Washington, and it's a problem.
Do we, as taxpayers, we just celebrated a wonderful day back on April 15th, which made me feel real warm and fuzzy when I signed the check. But do we, as taxpayers, have any power with our politicians to tell them, no, we don't want any more loans to Solyndra. We don't want any more loans over to Mexico to help their oil company, Pemex. We don't want to do this anymore. We want to keep the money right here in the United States. Will they listen to us?
Well, I think educating constituents is a very, very important part of this process, and letting elected officials know, whether it's through letters, whether it's to Hill visits, whether it's to local district offices. I think that elected officials need to hear from their constituents, and that's what we're trying to do is to let them know that this is outrageous and that the elected officials should not be voting for this just kind of casually. This is a real problem, and like you said, taxpayer money should not be going to subsidize loans to those countries you listed off. It's outrageous.
Okay, but now my next question is a follow-up as far as senators and congressmen. I don't have a lot of faith that they're as well educated on various matters as they tell us they are. Do they really know that this money's doing this type of thing to help other countries?
Well, all I'll say is that this is something that is authorized by congressmen and by the House and by the Senate. Whether they are educated or not, I don't want to assume one way or the other. But this is something that they do have to vote on, and I would think that they would understand what they are voting for when they do cast a vote in either direction. So, to answer your question, I guess you'd have to. You would hope so, but you don't know.
Tom, my dear friend Tom, they proved their ineptness and their stupidity when they didn't know anything about Obamacare, and Nancy Pelosi said we got to pass it and then read it. These are a bunch of lurches back there in the Congress and the Senate, and I'm looking at this sheet right now, and it says $280 billion with a B, which scares me. These numbers are huge. China gets $7.7 billion. Russia gets $3.3 billion, even though they hate us, and they're going to charge us $60 million every time we put an astronaut up on the shuttle. This is really fun. Venezuela charges us $2.4 billion. Why are we giving away all this money? I just don't understand it. I'm working hard and I'm helping support all these people. I'm outraged. Tell me what I can do today.
Well, I think that one thing that you can do is go on to our website, AmericansForProsperity.org, and we'll continue to learn more about the issue. And please tell your listeners and tell your friends to go there. We've got a lot of great material up there, and if they want to read up on this and learn more about this, we've got a lot of good content up there for them to read through and for them to get to learn more about the issue, and hopefully get them out there and get them vocal about this.
I just wonder, Americans for Prosperity, I want you to take just a moment and explain to my audience what you do as an organization. But I honestly believe, Tom, and tell me I'm wrong, I honestly believe if the American public, me and everybody else, really knew how much waste through helping these other countries with these friendly loans, how much waste we're suffering out of our pocketbooks, it would probably put a lot of people in the emergency room with heart attacks.
Well, first off, to answer your question, Americans for Prosperity, we're a grassroots advocacy group trying to promote economic freedom in this country, as well as educating grassroots activists about other issues such as energy, healthcare, and other things. I'm sorry, could you repeat that second part of your question?
Well, I just said that if the general American citizen, myself, my listeners, everybody else, if they really knew how much waste was going on in this country right now, like these loans to foreign countries, and then we're standing on the hook for the loans, it would scare people into heart attack.
Right. No, I think you're absolutely right, and that's one thing that we're trying to do is continue to educate the people out there and let them know about these ridiculous things going on here in Washington, and to try and get them to react and get involved in trying to end some of these things.
Absolutely. Tom, listen, you did a great job filling in for Christine Harbin Hansen, and wish her our best, and you come back anytime you want. You did a good job with Americans for Prosperity. Thank you very much for the information this morning.
Zeb, thanks for having me on. Take care.
You bet. Thank you much. Wow. We are loaning money to countries like China and Russia, Venezuela, Saudi Arabia, and we're on the hook, you and me, Gina, everybody else, on the hook if they default. They don't want to pay. Then it goes back to us. We're loaning Saudi Arabia $10.4 billion. Venezuela, $2.4 billion. Russia, $3.3 billion. And the Ruskies turn around and they charge us $60 million every time an astronaut gets on their shuttle flight. Are you kidding me? Who is negotiating these deals anyway? The Three Stooges?
Obama.
I mean, come on, Gina, you might think I'm off third base and going to get picked off going for home, but this is lunacy.
It is. Well, you want to know my honest opinion? I think that we should pull all funding for pretty much everything that goes on overseas that does not directly benefit the American people. Just pull all the funding, yank it all out there, because I, as an American taxpayer, I'm not seeing any benefit out of this, so why should I have to pay for it?
Why should Gina Jameson and Zeb Bell and Deanne Bell and Jerry Thaxton and everybody else, why should we be on the hook for the default of these loans to people that hate us? They don't like us. The Ruskies, the Chinese, Saudi Arabia, etc. This is a lot of money. $280 billion in taxpayer goodies. And what are they doing for us? Not one, pardon the expression, everybody, damn thing.
They're not doing anything for us. They hate us. All they want us for is our money, and that's it, because they think, oh, well, Americans, they're suckers. They'll just hand it out to us. And we do.
When I got this notice, honestly, and I'm going to keep this notice, because in the next couple of days, I'm expecting Senator Mike Crapo to call me. We usually don't know when he's going to call. And I'm going to say, hey, Mike, how come we're giving the Export-Import Bank loans to these various countries of taxpayer money of $280 billion? And I want to get an answer without priming him, without giving him advance notice, because I honestly believe that a lot of senators and congressmen haven't got a doggone clue as to what's going on.
I will second that amendment, and I will also say this. They don't even ask the American taxpayers if we want to give our money to X entity or B entity. They don't ask us. They're just like, oh, well, they don't care. They don't need to know.
I
do want to know.
Yeah, right. And here's one that just absolutely blows my mind. We are sending down billions of dollars to Mexico's oil company called Pemex so that they can develop their oil. They can have taxpayer-backed loans from you and I to develop more oil. Why aren't we developing our own here in this country? 1 point whatever billion to go to maybe the Dakotas or southern Montana, whatever the case might be. I am absolutely convinced that this administration and this government is doing everything they can to be anarchists against our flag and our Constitution and help everybody else.
Well, and here's the crazy thing, if we're going to be talking about oil, there are so many oil wells out there that have been capped since the 1970s.
That's right.
There's oil there, but they're not allowing us at it, and that's part of our quote-unquote oil reserve.
Well, I just do not understand how anybody in their right mind, which eliminates a lot of politicians because they haven't seen their right mind since they left high school, how you could possibly put the American government, we are loaning the money. Who negotiated these deals? When I sit down and negotiate a deal, primarily what I'm going to do, Gina, is make it so it's beneficial for me, okay? But how can you negotiate a deal to give somebody a loan of billions and billions of dollars and then tell them, well, we'll assume the risk of the loan if you default on it. What?
No. I'm sorry. When we go to a bank and we get a loan, we are responsible for it. We have to give up either collateral or something, but we are responsible for it. So why should the American public be responsible for a defaulted loan that we didn't even approve for the federal government to give out?
You know, I look at the world today, and maybe you don't agree with this one, but I look at the world today, whether it's Mexico, whether it's Saudi Arabia, whether it's China, whether it's Venezuela, whether it's Russia, and kind of like, here comes the big old American buffoon. Boy, this guy's a big dummy. We can take him for billions, and he's going to set up the note so that if we don't pay, his taxpayers are going to eat the bill. How doggone dumb is that?
Wow, okay. I probably ought not say what I really want to, but I think that our government leaders really need to look at the fine print and start doing what is best for our country and for the American people instead of what's best for everybody else overseas who doesn't care about it.
Most of our American leaders need to jump on a boat and go out in the middle of the ocean and have somebody pull the plug.
I completely agree. You are spot on with that.
I am really upset about this. I don't want to pay for somebody else's not paying their bill. Good Lord, how dumb is this? Calm down, Zeb.
For Solyndra. We are paying for Solyndra. We are paying for all of the other
absolutely
bailouts. You know?
And you know what? There's listeners in the audience right now that still will support this absolute criminal administration Obama is running. It is criminal. It is absolutely asinine. It's amateur. It's totally unprepared. It has no clue what it's doing. And I think that's major the reason why they got where they are today. They don't know what they're doing, and they're just absolutely channeling all their goods, all their good money, all their services into people that want more handouts, and that's why they got elected.
And here's a news flash for you, and make sure that you're sitting down and you don't fall on the floor. My brother and I are actually going to go to the polling place today, and we are going to declare as Republicans.
Oh, be still my beating heart.
I know. You didn't have to pick yourself up off the floor, did you?
No, I got side guards on my chair. Hey, I got to get the weather in here. My goodness, the weather is brought to you this hour by Red's Trading Post, 203 5th Avenue South in Twin Falls. All the guns, all the ammo, all the accessories. Oh, my gosh, I'm upset about that banking story. I just can't get that out of my head that we're dumb enough to assume somebody else's loan. What in the world? Folks, wake up, smell the coffee, put some cream in it. Back to our weather. Red's Trading Post, 203 5th Avenue South in Twin Falls. For the best of guns, ammo, and accessories with the smartest of people at 203 5th Avenue South in Twin Falls. Here's Michael Rogers' weather.
Hello, everyone. Michael Rogers from MichaelRogersWeather.com. You know, if you're a photographer, you need to listen to this because folks in the Magic Valley, especially in the eastern Magic Valley, Burley, Oakley, you know who I'm talking about. You guys are pretty good at taking pictures of lightning. You're going to have some lightning chances for tonight, also possibly Wednesday morning and Wednesday night. All right, so in our forecast today, everything's going to look good till lunchtime, and then you're going to see clouds developing and chance of a shower or thunderstorm. And it's going to continue into tonight. It's going to continue into tomorrow. High today, 73, low tonight, 48. High tomorrow, 72. Enjoy the weather. It's the only weather you got.
There you go, Michael. Thank you. Brought to you by Red's Trading Post, 203 5th Avenue South in Twin Falls. Absolutely the best in firearms, the best in ammunition and accessories and people. Red's Trading Post in Twin Falls. You know, what I'm going to do, Gina, I'm just going to try this and see how far it floats. Next time I'm going to need a little extra operating cash, to buy my hay and everything. I'm going to go to the bank. I'm going to go to my banker, and I'm going to say, okay, now I want to borrow about $10,000. But now if I default on this note, you are going to pay it. I wonder how far that'll fly.
I think you'll be promptly seen to the front door.
But yet our politicians are so stupid wearing their three-piece suits and their wingtip shoes that they would set us up as American taxpayers to eat the bill. eat the bill if these other countries default on their loans. I just can't get over how dumb we are.
It's not we, you and me, it's they in D.C.
They're selling us down a river that it's gone dry. I just am absolutely appalled at stories like this that all of a sudden creep like an insect under the doorway, and you start learning about this. People should be outraged that they're on the hook for billions and billions of dollars. And you know, let's take Saudi Arabia, for example, $10.4 billion. All of a sudden they say, we don't want to pay for it. You, the American taxpayer, ha ha ha, we gotcha. And it's in paper, in writing, and we're signed for it.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Saudi Arabia, one of the richest countries in oil, has some of the richest people in the world.
Yep.
Driving gold-plated cars in that country, and we are footing the bill? No. You go ask the sheiks for money, honey.
Well, look at Venezuela, $2.4 billion. China, our adversary, our number one enemy right now, that wants to take over the world with power, wants to take over the world with trade, wants to take over the world with energy, and we're giving them $7.7 billion, and we're so broke we can't afford to buy an ice cream cone, and we're standing the cost of the note.
Yeah, I'm not down for that, and I think that everybody needs to be writing our congressional leaders and saying, knock this off. Out.
I'm telling you, I took a blood pressure pill at 6 o'clock this morning, and I'm only taking one a day. I got to go have 2 or 3 more.
Chamomile tea.
Oh, this, honestly, I just wonder if America is as upset about this as I am. Why don't they just be outraged? And we should all be grabbing pitchforks and running down Pennsylvania Avenue saying, please, if you stand in the way, we are going to run over you. This is ludicrous that the America that I grew up in is now so damn dumb.
You want to know why most of Americans aren't standing up for this? They're too glued in front of the boob tube.
I couldn't agree more. And I know I'm going to get criticized for saying DAMN, but you know what? You reach a point where you have to be so explicit that America is being taken advantage of and sold down the river by its own politicians.
You know what? I am mad about it. I am tired of paying for other countries' mistakes. I can't afford it. I'm sorry, and I want my tax dollars to go to something good here in the United States, to do something good here in my community. But no, they are shipping our tax dollars overseas to benefit somebody else who's probably going to default on the loan, and so we're still stuck on the line paying for something that we never got.
Amen. Amen. I'll tell you what about the audience? I still got time for a couple of calls. You must be either stunned to a state of shock or you don't care. I hope it's in a state of shock. Today is a day to go vote. It's a good day to have this kind of a story on about the idiocy and incompetency that's going on within government, and go out and vote for people that you think can do a better job. Please. Please. Don't forget our friends at Cameron and Siemens Insurance. Whew. I better take out another policy. I'm about ready to have a heart attack. Anyway, life insurance, health insurance, retirement planning, employee benefits, all of this and more with the professionals, Dean Cameron and Todd Siemens. Thoughtful and caring, and believe me, very accessible and devoted to serving others at Cameron and Siemens Insurance. Highway 24 in Rupert, the number to call, 436-4424. That number again, 436-4424. I mean, I'm just livid to think, and I really can't wait. I don't care who it is. I'm going to lambast them with these kind of facts and figures as to why, and if they're not aware of it, if they're not aware of where our money's going, that's all the more reason for concern and anger, which I'm going to show to any and all that, well, gee whiz, Gomer, I didn't know we were giving $10.4 billion to Saudi Arabia, and if they don't pay, we got to pick up the check. Oh, my. You better know.
It's kind of like reading the Affordable Health Care Act with 2,000-plus pages. When you get the budget, everything's packed into 2,000-plus pages, and you would think, because we're paying them to do that, to actually read it line by line, page by page.
Remember Dr. George? Remember Dr. George that's been on our program?
Yes, Dr. Elena George.
Yeah, and she's going to be coming back in a week or so. Remember what she said way back in the fall of last year? She said that she had a copy of the Obamacare, the Affordable Care Act, and she read it line by line and highlighted every bit of it. It took her longer to do that than it did read the Bible. And she said she absolutely understands it now, and she is scared to death as to the implementation of all the hidden things inside that act.
You know what? And that's what our politicians need to be doing with every bill that passes their desk. Every budget, every Affordable Health Care Act, they need to be reading it line for line because I am paying them to do so. You've got a phone call.
All right, quick call. Got 2 minutes left. Good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Mr. Bell. You know, I don't understand why we can't take all that money out of our foreign aid policies and put it back into our veterans' benefits.
There's no question. But now, just a second. You're talking about this money, okay? We're talking $280 billion. Billion with a B. And look at the good that it would do in our own communities, our own country, the Veterans Administration, helping and supplying more energy money for creation of energy within our own country. Look at the good it would do within our own society to take our economy and let it go off like a missile into the heavens. But we're giving it away, and we're guaranteeing the default on the loans to foreign countries that hate us.
Yep, you're right. You know, we could help ourselves instead of trying to help everybody else. But they want us to fail. This government wants us to fail.
I can't argue that. God bless you for your call. Thank you so much.
Yep. See you in a minute.
Whew, I am upset. Hey, don't forget the Chadwick Sports Grill. I got to calm down and think about food. I'm always calm when I think about good food. 139 West Main in Burley. And today they're going to have chicken Alfredo with garlic toast, super salad. I love garlic toast. And then give Goober a great big kiss. Chicken Alfredo with garlic toast, super salad at the Chadwick Sports Grill. Today, 139 West Main in Burley. All the great food, all the great menu items, and great service at the Chadwick Sports Grill. You stop in and see them today. I am going to go take some more blood pressure medicine. I am irate. You listen to the news. Tell me what happens. I'll see you in 6. Oh my, hour number 3 is underway. Zeb at the Ranch, I'm Zeb Bell, and our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you, along with some of our great advertisers, Lee's Furniture, Floors, and more at 459 Overland in Burley, and our friends at Western Way Services, always at your disposal. Get on the route service, call Kelly at 734-6969. And let's see, you know, I'm almost not, Gina can probably giggle about this, but with all the commercials that we had for the politicals over the last couple of weeks, and today, it's kind of like leaning into the wind. You know, you want to balance yourself, you lean into the wind. Well, today I'm going to tip over because I don't have all those commercials. Oh my gosh, it feels weird today. And she's...
Deep breath.
Yeah, I am going to take a deep breath, exhale, and like they did in the Karate Kid, wax on, wax off, wax on, wax off. And with a little wax on and a little wax off, here now is Dr. History.
Good morning, Zeb. How you doing this morning?
Wax on, wax off.
Oh, that sounds good.
How are you doing?
I'm doing great.
Dr-History.com is available all over the world, all over the universe, Japan, Taiwan, Germany. They're all calling and wanting to check on Dr-History.com.
And actually China and England.
Yeah, as long as we don't have to loan them money.
That's right.
Okay.
So we do have listeners all over the world now. So.
Well, I hope we don't sever diplomatic relations this morning.
I don't think we're safe today. I've got a good story.
Okay. Tell us, please, what we're going to hear.
All right. There's a guy by the name of Soapy Smith.
Oh, yeah, good old Soapy. He was sponsored by Ivory.
He's he's not a good guy, and that's the story we're going to talk about today.
Okay.
So, 1896, gold was found in the Klondike region of Canada's Yukon Territory, and 1897, the first boatload of prospectors headed in there, and More ships brought thousands of hopeful miners into the new town of Skagway, and they prepared for the 500-mile journey to the gold fields into Canada. Now, the population of the general area just increased enormously. It actually reached about 30,000 people, mostly American prospectors. Now, some at this point realized how difficult the trek ahead would be on the route to the gold fields. And some of them just chose to stay behind and supply goods and services to the miners. And so within weeks, stores and saloons and offices lined the muddy streets of Skagway, and approximately 1,000 prospective miners passed through town each week. And by 1898, Skagway was actually the largest city in Alaska.
How did it get its name, by the way?
And I mean, there were fights, and of course, as usual, liquor was present in all the saloons. But the most colorful resident of this period was a bad man named Jefferson Randolph Soapy Smith. Now, he was a sophisticated swindler. He had gracious manners, and he gave money to widows, and he stopped lynchings. But at the same time, this good old guy was operating a ring of thieves who swindled prospectors with cards, dice, and the shell game. And one thing I thought was kind of ingenious, he actually had a telegraph office, and he charged $5 to send a message anywhere in the world. And prospectors sent news to their folks back home without realizing that the wire going out of the telegraph office just went into the trees a few hundred yards, and that was the end of the telegraph. But they thought they were actually, they'd watch the guy clicking out the notes to home, and they were excited, thinking that their folks back home were actually hearing from them.
How could you possibly criticize somebody that's an entrepreneur? Now, that's a great idea. It took a lot of time and effort to string those wires at least 100 feet down the road in the trees. Why in the world are you criticizing him?
Nobody thought to follow the wires. Think, did this wire really go clear to the United States? Anyway, so I want you to picture something. It's the 4th of July in Skagway. 1898, Soapy Smith is perched high on top of a white stallion. And he was the parade's grand marshal. But a lot of people in the crowd wondered what trick had landed him this honor, because only 3 days earlier, someone else had been slated for that role. And so true to his name, old Soapy was slick, and that wasn't the first time he'd proven it. But, most of the Skagway people wanted nothing more than to get rid of this guy. Now, his real name, like I said, was Jefferson Randolph Smith, Jr., and he had learned to talk people out of their money in Colorado, where one of his scams was to sell soap for the high price of $5 a bar. And the way he did this was, as people watched, he appeared to be tucking $100 bills, $50 bills, and $20 bills under the wrappers of some of the bars. Now, the naive audience failed to see him slide most of those bills up his sleeve. And they were also unaware that the first customer who discovered a $50 bill tucked inside his soap was really one of old Soapy's gang. So when people saw that, why, they rushed to buy the bars of soap, and of course, obviously, their bars had no money in it. But this is the scam that earned Smith the nickname of Soapy. So that's where the Soapy comes in.
Okay.
Besides being slick. Now, even though Soapy put a lot of time into his cons, his earnings weren't all that good, and he was eager to make some real money. So, a determined man, if not an honest one, he intended to be the first thief in an Alaska gold rush town. So in 1896, Soapy relocated to Skagway. And this was a port town where people began their long trek to the Klondike gold field, and Soapy was sure he could own this new town, and he was right. Now, the Klondike Gold Rush of 1897-98 was a mad stampede. 100,000 people tried to get to the gold field, and they hadn't expected this trip to be so hard. And really about half of them made it to the Canadian Klondike, and one of the reasons the trail was so difficult was that each stampeder had to have 2,000 pounds of supplies before they could enter into Canada. And the Canadian Mounties stood guard at the border, making sure each person had the required 2,000 pounds. Now, the trail north from Skagway was called the White Pass Trail, and it took a man with a pack horse 10 trips to move all of his belongings up the 41-mile trail to the first lake. That was 9 trips back to Skagway and 9 opportunities for Soapy's gang to lighten the man's pockets of his cash.
Oh, boy.
Now, there was also another way if you wanted to walk, and that was the Golden Staircase. And that was basically carrying 2,000 pounds on your back to the Canadian border. And we'll talk about that another time. That was a really rough on these people. But anyway, newcomers in that area were called Chichacos. And I'm not sure where that came from, if it's a Alaskan Indian name or whatever. But
Did you say? Can you hear me? Can you hear me, or are you having a hard time hearing me?
I can hear you just fine.
Oh, okay. I just wondered, did you say cheap tacos, or what did you say? Repeat that again.
I didn't say cheap tacos.
No.
I said Chichacos.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Okay, Chichacos. Okay. Anyway, they were thought to be too trusting for their own good, and they were easy marks for Soapy's gang. Jeff Smith was actually the name that he was known as up there, but most people just called him Soapy. But he appeared to be a perfect gentleman. He had a southern drawl. He had good manners. He had a nice black beard that was neatly trimmed. He wore a dark suit, white shirt and tie, topped off with a wide-brimmed hat that made him look just, like a grandpa, like a good old harmless guy. I mean, he was nearing 50 years old, old enough to be a father figure for a lot of these newcomers. And most of his men wore proper suits and bowler hats, but they had names like Sheeny Kid and Cisco Red, among other names. But anyway, the Smith gang had a small building, like I said, with a sign reading telegraph office, and there was always a line of the Chichacos in front, writing short notes home. And again, the customer paid the clerk for each letter he'd printed, and the clerk then clicked the message letter by letter on the telegraph lever, never realizing that it was fake and it didn't get more than 200 yards down the road. But anyway, Soapy was quickly gaining confidence in his scams, and he decided to up the ante a bit. Now, he had a hunch that if you were patriotic, other Americans would think that you're honest. And at his saloon, Soapy, he displayed a flag near the bar, and in the parlor's back room, there was even a live bald eagle.
Mm-hmm.
Now, intrigued by the bird, many a man foolishly went to the back room to see the bird. Now, there they were greeted not only by the bird, but also by a handful of men who took whatever money the man had, and out the back door he went with nothing.
I see.
So this was out-and-out robbery, but so far the gang was getting away with it. Now, although most people traveled through Skagway, a growing number of people were staying in town to open honest stores, hotels, and restaurants. And some of the buildings were quite attractive with false fronts and large windows. Business owners were trying to shape this wild boom town into a classy city. And Skagway was calling itself the San Francisco of the North.
Mm-hmm.
And the honest residents of Skagway were getting a little tired of old Soapy's crooked ways. He was giving the town such a bad name that many Klondikers stayed away, and it was not easy to make a living in an empty town. So actually there's a committee that formed of the honest people, and they put up a sign posted on the way into Skagway, and it said, "Warning, all confidence, bunco, and sure-thing men and all other objectionable characters are notified to leave Skagway and White Pass Road immediately and remain away. Failure to comply with this warning will be followed by prompt action." So that was the sign that greeted some people when they came in, that if you had ulterior motives, just keep on going.
Maybe we should put that same sign back in Washington, D.C.
It would be an empty city, wouldn't it?
One would hope.
You would think. So anyway, a few days after this 4th of July thing, where he was riding the White Stallion, when he rode like a peacock through the streets of the city as the Grand Marshal, one of his gang invited a guy by the name of J.D. Stewart into the bar, into the saloon of Soapy's. Now, Stewart was a miner, fresh from the gold field, and he carried the gold he had found in a leather bag called a poke. And, we've all heard of that term, is where they carried their money. Now, he was more than willing to talk to Soapy's man, who had said he was a major gold buyer. Well, Stewart walked into the saloon's back room to see the eagle, and there 2 of the thugs jumped him and stole his poke. Now, he claimed that it held about 15 pounds of gold worth about $2,670, which, back then, that was a huge amount of money, at least 10 or 20 times what it would be today. But anyway, Stewart went straight to the U.S. Marshal trying to get justice, but the officer did nothing, and so Stewart figured that the Marshal was in Soapy's pocket, and this made him really mad. So he walked into every store, restaurant, and saloon in Skagway and told his story. Well, a crowd of angry citizens marched down to Soapy's saloon and found him inside the bar, and he promised the group that Stewart would have his poke back by 4 o'clock that afternoon. Well, Soapy stayed in the parlor and drank one shot of whiskey after another, and 4 o'clock passed and the poke did not appear. Well, a newspaper man predicted he'd face big trouble. And Soapy raised his glass and he said, "By goodness, trouble is what I'm looking for." The reporter returned to his office to work through the night, and clearly the newspaper was kind of siding with the honest folks of the town.
Mm-hmm.
Well, 8 o'clock that next evening, the group of citizens met on one of Skagway's piers. And they intended to solve the Soapy problem once and for all. So, fearing that Soapy's gang would show up, there was a guy by the name of Frank Reed who stood guard with a .38 caliber revolver. Well, about this time, a very drunk Soapy Smith marched down Broadway Street to the wharf. He was waving a rifle. Well, this Reed guy, he blocked him, and the two men swore and shouted at each other. And Soapy hit Reed with the barrel of his Winchester, and Reed grabbed the gun barrel and pushed it down. Well, when Soapy pulled the trigger, a bullet tore through Reed's stomach, and anyway, Frank Reed fired 2 or 3 shots in return, and one bullet found the mark, went right through Soapy's heart, and he died immediately.
Oh, my.
Well, this Reed guy, he dropped down. He was obviously in pretty bad pain, and anyway, the townspeople picked up their bleeding hero and carried him to the doctor's office, and he lay in great pain for about 12 days before he finally died. Well, so Soapy's body remained, they just left him there on the dock for about 3 days.
Holy cow.
The shooting, a lot of the members of Soapy's gang, they scattered, but 27 of them were quickly rounded up, and Stewart's poke of gold was found in the back room of Soapy's parlor, and Stewart was thrilled to get it back, but he claimed $600 worth of gold dust was still missing.
Wait a minute. You're telling me they left Soapy Smith's body on the pier? That's not real good for the Chamber of Commerce when a boat comes in with new people living there, is it?
Well, I don't know. Maybe they put a sign up and said, this is what happens to bad guys in Skagway, Alaska.
Okay.
Maybe it was just a little warning, of if you've got bad motives in your mind, you better think twice, because here lies the body of one dead bad guy.
Holy smokes.
Anyway, so Smith and Reed, they're buried in the Skagway Cemetery, and there's just a simple, cheap wooden board that marks Soapy's grave, and while Reed's grave has a giant stone monument that's fit for a hero, and on it says he gave his life for the honor of Skagway. And Skagway did clean up and became an honest town, and the local businessmen were satisfied with what they saw. Now, unfortunately for them, gold was soon found in Nome, Alaska, and so in 1899, thousands of people left the Klondike for Nome, and the Klondike gold rush was over. So even so, Skagway, refused to die, and the town quickly returned to tourism. Well, in the 1920s, a local entrepreneur turned Soapy's parlor into a museum. Well, when the museum was no longer making any money, a lock was put on the door, and the building was passed on from one person to another. And anyway, there's a Skagway resident that owns it now, and actually he'll open it up occasionally and let people walk in. And when you get used to the dim light, you can see a mechanical mannequin of Soapy Smith in a black suit leaning on the dusty bar with a whiskey glass in his hand. And as you look at him, he seems lost in thought until his head turns and his red eyes light up. So Soapy is still sort of alive and well, even though he's dead in Skagway.
You've been to Skagway, haven't you?
I have. In fact, I was just going to say, anybody that goes to Skagway, there's a very small museum right there in Skagway. You can, and I think most people, when they go there, they go on cruise ships. But
okay,
within walking distance from the cruise ship, there's a small museum, and go inside there. And of course, they have all kinds of relics and one thing and another. But they've got a exhibit there that shows a man with 2,000 pounds of gear. Mm-hmm. What that looks like. And you can see what this man either had to hire a horse to haul or had to carry by back.
Well, now, wait a minute, Doc. When you say they had to carry 2,000 pounds of gear, I want to be more definitive here. How many trips did they have to make from the starting point to haul that? I mean, you don't put 2,000 pounds on your back and carry it into Skagway. How many times did they have to hide the gear or whatever and walk back and forth to get that all put in the proper place?
Okay, if you could haul 100 pounds per load,
okay,
that would be 20, right?
Woo, yeah.
And what happened was they soon found out that you needed to have a partner, because you might haul 100-pound pack, say a mile, and then drop it off, go back and get another 100 pounds. But what would happen is if you didn't have a partner, somebody else would sneak in there and steal your gear. Or they'd steal the gear you left behind.
Yeah, now this is another part of the story. I mean, as far as people storing the gear at a starting point, it would seem to me that all the bad guys would just go up and down the starting point or wherever they thought they stored the gear, and you'd have a field day living off of everybody that left equipment there.
Oh, yeah. And, Sophie Smith's gang wasn't the only gang. There were a lot of other guys that would just prey on the miners. And so, like I say, they soon learned that you've got to have, let's say 2 or 3 or 4 guys in your group to watch out for each other. Because, like I say, you could get all your gear up there a mile and then come back and forth and then go another mile and then another mile. And then you had to go up the Golden Staircase, which, and I think I've mentioned that before. There was a man that cut stairs in this last, this Chilkoot Trail.
Right.
The last part of it getting up to the top.
Right.
And he charged people so much for trip up this Chilkoot Trail.
Now,
and if you stepped out of line, you might have to wait hours before you could get back in line to get up to the top. Then you had to come back down and get another load, and back up the Golden Staircase, and back down again. So there were some men that got to the point of discouragement where they just sat down and put a bullet through their head.
Oh, my. Now, let me ask you this. In Skagway, or for that matter, Alaska during that time, there evidently wasn't much as far as law enforcement. You never do mention too much about marshals up there.
Right. And really, probably the only law was the Canadian Mounties that were up on the border, making sure you had your 2,000 pounds of gear before you could enter into Canada. And then, then the trip, you still had a long ways to go. I think it's Bennett Lake was the lake that you got to up there, and you had to get across that lake and then down the river to Dawson and those places. So it was a long trip. In fact, one guy actually hauled enough gear up to this lake to build a steamboat. Mm-hmm. But like I said, the other way around was by horse, pack horse. And we've talked about that before, too, the inhumane treatment of these horses. Right. They would just up and back, and they call it Dead Horse Trail as well. Because, and they think some horses got to the point where they would just, if it was a steep embankment, they'd just step off and basically commit suicide.
Yeah. Let's quickly tell everybody about Dr-History.com. I've only got about 35, 40 seconds left, so I want to really...
You can go on there anytime, day or night now. Listen to today's story again, or we've got probably about a dozen stories on there now that we've told, and every week we'll add a new story, and this way, people can listen anytime they want if they happen to miss the broadcast on Tuesday mornings.
Okay.
So invite people to tell your friends, tell your family, and just as many people as you think might be interested in listening.
Well, Dr. History, better known as Dr. Ken Turner, a very dear friend of this program, has been for many, many years, put this idea together of Dr-History.com and all of the shows. I mean, we're talking about mountain men, we're talking about gamblers, we're talking about Soapy Smith, we're talking about Annie Oakley. All of these can be heard, and it's right available on that website, Dr-History.com. Doc, you did a great job today. God bless. We'll see you next Tuesday.
All right, you have a good day, Zeb.
Thank you, sir. Take care. Everybody go vote. I want to stress that again. Go vote today. Don't forget the polls are open, and they will be till 8 p.m. this evening. Hey, by the way, real quick, I want to remind you that on Thursdays we have a segment on this program called Cassia County School Days, and it's brought to you by some really, really nice folks. First off, Child's World in Burley, 1308 Overland in Burley. And, of course, they've got all the toys, the puzzles, the books. They've got all kinds of summer outfits, everything for you. And gift wrapping is always free. Don't forget that at A Child's World, 1308 Overland in Burley. Also, the Ambulatory Surgery Center continues to be the area's best place for outpatient surgery, saving people hundreds of dollars and receiving outstanding friendly care. Don't forget arthroscopic knee surgery, colonoscopies, hand surgeries, all of this and more at 1344 Highland Drive in Burley. The number to call, 677-8888. The Ambulatory Surgery Center and A Child's World, serving you with Cassia County School Days. We are going to take a little break, and then we're going to come back, and we have a couple of guests here in the studio. One is old and bald-headed and kind of fat, and the other one's really pretty. And we're going to have that introduction in just a few minutes, so stay tuned. Coming up next, Zeb at the Ranch.
And now, back to Zeb at the Ranch on AM 1230 KBAR. To reach Zeb, call 436-2244 or toll free 1-866-927-4587. And now, here is Zeb Bell.
Thank you very much. Welcome back. Zeb at the Ranch, our last half hour. And Gina, if you don't mind, I think what I'll do at this time so I don't have to interrupt our guests, I think we'll go ahead with the weather forecast brought to everybody this hour by Scarro's Meats, 331 North Road, Jerome. Number to call, 324-7657. Don't forget Scarro's Meats, of course, serving Southern Idaho for over 20 years, offering quality products at very reasonable rates. And in addition to the expert meat cutting, also they have their own smokehouse. It is good. Absolutely selling taste one bite at a time. Scarro's Meats. Here's Michael Rogers with the weather.
Hello, everyone. Michael Rogers from MichaelRogersWeather.com. You know, if you're a photographer, you need to listen to this because folks in the Magic Valley, especially in the eastern Magic Valley, Burley, Oakley, you know who I'm talking about. You guys are pretty good at taking pictures of lightning. We're going to have some lightning chances for tonight, also possibly Wednesday morning and Wednesday night. All right, so in our forecast today, everything's going to look good till lunchtime, and then you're going to see clouds developing and chance of a shower or thunderstorm. It's going to continue into tonight. It's going to continue into tomorrow. High today, 73. Low tonight, 48. High tomorrow, 72. Enjoy the weather. It's the only weather you got.
Thank you very much, MichaelRogersWeather.com. Brought to you by Scarro's Meats, 331 North Road, Jerome, 324-7657. They're selling taste one bite at a time. Ladies and gentlemen, I have with me in the studio two really nice people, and George, of course, has been on our program many, many times, of course, with the POW MIA of Rupert, and he does so much in the community to help other people. And right now I'm going to say good morning, George. How are you?
Good morning, Mr. Bell.
And Mr., my goodness, you're polite all of a sudden.
Your wife made me some cookies.
She made my favorite kind of cookies and slapped my hands when they came out of the oven. Sugar cookies, and you got the whole bag.
So?
Yeah, I know, so. You were just here a couple of days ago. What are you doing here today?
Well, last week was here, and we gave away 2 scholarships from the BFH and the Rupert POW.
Okay.
Today, we've got a young lady here that's very deserving of another scholarship. This is the third one. We've given out 3 $500 scholarships.
3 $500 scholarships?
Yes, and the BFH did their ride on May 3rd. They deposit in our account enough for 2 more scholarships for next year. So,
wow. I was going to ask you what did you call that? The
BFH,
which means
Big Fantastic Hog. They ride the Harleys.
I see. And that group is the one that really helped motivate the money.
Yes, yeah, they're very, very big. They asked last year if they could come aboard. They liked what we was doing. And we told them yes, and they've been an asset to the Rupert POW.
Absolutely. I think I met one of the gentlemen at the governor's party that we were at about a week or so ago.
Yeah, Wyatt.
Yes. Well, now, POW MIA, this is really a cause that you've got behind over the last couple of years. Explain why.
We've got too many veterans left after the wars. There's over 87,000 POWs and MIAs still missing, and we need to get them home. We know there's one still alive, and that's Bo Bergdahl.
Yes.
Out of Haley.
Yes.
But we just need to get them home or get them accounted for.
Now, this lovely lady is the recipient of the $500 scholarship, and why was she selected?
We do our scholarships on GPA, community service, and essay from What Freedom Means to Me.
Okay.
And she excelled in all of them. We've had some awful tough picking. We've had some good applicants this year.
And why don't you go ahead and introduce her at this time? Would you please, George?
Yes. Tegan Nebeker. You will be presented with the third scholarship. This is a certificate from Rupert POW MIA, and here's a $500 check for your education, and we're honored to be able to help you.
Thank you so much. I am very honored to receive this scholarship.
Tegan, hold that mic right in front of your face,
okay.
Please. Thank you. Go ahead. A very lovely lady, Tegan Nebeker from Burley, Idaho, and she travels in style. She has her own entourage, kind of like the big rock stars, Beyonce, etc. She has Eric and Janie. Is it Joni or Janie?
It's Joni.
Eric and Joni are out in the other room right now,
They
and
are.
your dad's big enough to pull a diesel with his bare hands, so I'm going to be real nice to you.
I love that.
I'm looking at your picture, and I commented that I saw a blonde in the photo that came with the information sheets. What happened to the blonde?
Well, it changes a lot.
Really?
I can never really decide.
Okay. So you're just transforming yourself almost anytime you want to then, right?
Pretty much. A lot of times I just work it with the seasons.
Okay. You wrote an essay, What Freedom Means to Me, and at this time, if you don't mind, I'd have you read that. Would you please?
Yeah, I'd love to.
Okay, thank you.
What freedom means to me. The word freedom means the power or right to act, speak or think as one want without hindrance or restraint. I see freedom a little differently. Freedom to me is the fundamentals behind America. Men and women have been given their lives and times to the very act of freedom. For this cause, lives have been given and taken by greed, but given nobly. Every day we say the Pledge of Allegiance, but how many people repeat those words and hear the true meaning? I didn't before I got involved with the POW MIA Foundation. I started singing the national anthem for the POW Foundation back in 2011. That was when I really started learning about freedom. What honestly brought me to the knowledge of the freedom and love for men and women that every person involved had. George Mass introduced me to a new life involving our freedom. The day I started singing the national anthem for the Prisoners of War Foundation, I had a change of heart. As I saw the service of all the volunteers and the veterans, I realized respect is absolutely necessary. My part in the country is to honor and respect those men and women who have served and are serving today. As we stand together as a country, we show that our freedom is important as one nation under God. Freedom is what America is known for. But are we really showing our respect for that freedom? I believe that the best way to show such respect is to be willing to serve in whatever way will benefit our country most. We must be willing to fight for our country if the opportunity arises, but not that we all must go sign up for the Army today or tomorrow, but that we must give our time and dedication to the cause. We all can give a little of ourselves to help another, or in this case, to help a nation. Freedom is standing up for what must be fought for. Today our society has been raised so simple-minded. We have never really had the fear of being drafted or taken away from our families to serve in the military. Not many kids nowadays think about how blessed we are to have our freedom. To our young society, freedom is just an everyday luxury. Freedom is not something to be forgotten or to be taken for granted, for it is our country's greatest accomplishment. The question is, how can I show what freedom means to me? I can and will honor those men and women every day. I will never forget.
Tegan, that was excellent, and it goes along with what I try to have on the air every day. We start the program with the Pledge of Allegiance, and our flag, our Constitution, always means so much at this program, all three segments. What about kids today? In your latter paragraph of this essay, you said that we have never really had a fear of being drafted or taken away from our families to serve in the military. What about your classmates? Do they share the same sense of patriotism that you showed in this essay? Do you know that from talking to them? What is their feeling?
Well, I remember in high school, we rarely even repeated the Pledge of Allegiance. It started out as a big thing, you know, we would say it, and then it just dwindled off. And nowadays, the schools are even afraid to mention how patriotic they can be, or even to say one nation under God. And I really don't believe that's fair. The kids are being taken away from the knowledge of our country and how it came to be, and that's not freedom.
Why? Why is this happening? I mean, there must be some reason, there must be some cowardice, there must be some motive as to why they're not teaching this. Why? Why are we getting away from this?
Everyone's afraid. The Constitution is slowly being taken away.
Yeah.
And that's not the way it's supposed to be. That's not the way the world was meant to go.
What are you doing now? I mean, are you still a student? Tell us a little background on yourself.
Well, I graduated last year.
So you're an old timer now.
I guess.
Okay. And doing what?
Well, I've been working full time, and I'm going to school in the fall. I went to a little bit last semester.
Please. Yeah. Okay.
But yeah, this is the start of pretty much school for me in the fall.
Really? And you're going where?
Utah Valley University.
Oh, okay, down at Provo, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And majoring in?
Dietetics.
Really? You're going to be one of those people that tells everybody what to eat and what not to, huh?
Yeah, I'm going to change the world one person at a time.
One person at a time. You're stealing my slogan from that last commercial. So now, George, this sounds like a pretty good representative. Are you going to utilize her and this speech in any other functions this year?
We utilize Tegan on her POW program. She sings the national anthem for us, and she told me she will continue doing that as long as we ask.
I love it.
I just wish, and we've had so many stories about the VA, and we've had so many stories about our veterans returning home and not getting the benefits that they have signed up for and deserve, and a lack of caring. George, when you hear somebody like Tegan with this great essay, it does give a lot of faith to maybe a negativity that we think is so widespread.
It is, and she made a comment in that essay that touched home, and we've discussed this several times, is you don't have to be a veteran to be a veteran. Does that make sense? You know, she says that not everybody has to go off and fight wars. We can fight it at home. And Mr. Bell, you've been a very big advocate of that. You've stood out front for the veterans, even though you was not able to serve.
Well, and we'll continue to do so. I mean, it's just, it's part of this program, always will be part of this program. And I'm assuming that Tegan's going to be somewhat a part of September 20th. Is that correct?
Yes, she will be singing the national anthem.
Okay. Tegan, haven't you sung the national anthem at a rodeo when I've been announcing someplace? I thought you did it at Burley one year. Did you not?
I have. I've done it at the rodeos before.
That's what I thought. And you have a beautiful voice. Is singing going to take part in your future at all?
Definitely. The way I actually got started is just singing normal songs just around town, Kaja, and stuff like that. And people realized that I could sing, and they started asking me for a lot of things. It's really incredible.
I got to ask you, and I'm not getting off subject too much here, but it's a little bit about talent. Singers and singing the national anthem in particular. There are people, unfortunately, that want to do away with the Star-Spangled Banner as our national anthem, and they want to change it to what they say, quote unquote, is something easier. What are your thoughts about that?
That's ridiculous. Do you know what? That goes into something different. How many people even know the national anthem anymore? I mean, can even sing it clearly? If you change it, that's going to bring something history away from modern day. That's taking away, again, some freedoms, I think.
Is the song, and of course I'm not a singer, I like to croon sometimes. A lot of people, I'll sing in the shower or underneath 6 inches of water in the bathtub. But is the song really that hard to sing?
It's the hardest song I've performed, and every time before I perform it, I make sure I'm very practiced, because if you were to mess up, everyone knows, and it's not showing your patriotism very well if you can't sing it correctly, and so it is hard.
I have heard the worst, and I've heard the best, and I have heard mediocrity in between, and I've probably heard the national anthem sung by more people than anybody else in the world, because of literally hundreds and hundreds of times during the course of the year. And some of the greatest singers, whether they're contemporary, whether they're country singers or whatever, they've all messed it up. Everybody messes it up at a time or two, but you just keep going.
Yeah, you have to keep going, definitely. That's something I know for sure.
Now, have you sung more than one of the verses, or just the one? I mean, what are there, 4 or 5 verses
just
altogether?
The one.
Just the one?
Yeah.
Okay. What is your favorite style of music?
Country.
Country?
Yeah.
And if you were going to have a singing career, who would you pattern yourself after? Don't say George Mass.
Do you mean like a famous singer?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Carrie Underwood, probably.
Really?
I love her.
You know, you look like her, too.
Oh, thank you.
You know, you do.
Compliment.
You do. I mean, that's serious. If
Keep
your
it
hair was
coming.
back blonde again, you know. But
yeah.
No, but when you take these young singers of today, and I'm going to take just a moment here and ask you, like the show American Idol or The Voice, are they really getting the best talent to go to the end of the show? I wonder sometimes.
Well, it depends, because
of the votes.
Yeah, and a lot of talent still isn't coming in, you know?
Right. So what about your career? I mean, how do you go about setting yourself up so that you can possibly be asked to sing in different locations?
Well, I actually started with Gary Bench.
Really?
I absolutely love him and miss him so much. Dear friend. And he is the one who heard me and kept me coming and started calling me the American Idol of Caddo County, stuff like that, and kept my name out there. And I am so thankful for him for doing that, because that's what's brought me this far, is him.
You know, George, when you have an event like what's coming up, and I don't mean to jump ahead and take away from anything from Today Award, the scholarship, but on September 20th, maybe you could give people a little preview as to what's going to happen in Rupert, because we need thousands of people there.
Yes, we're very fortunate. Tegan will be performing before the program. We've got Dan Hendricks and Ken Mort will be singing.
Ooh, those guys are good too.
Yeah, and they're going to have some good competition. This young lady.
Yeah.
The music starts at 10. The family will be escorted in. It's O'Neill's out of Haley. Will be paying tribute to her husband's father was a POW.
I see. Mm-hmm.
They'll be escorted in with the motorcycles about 1:30. 2 o'clock the program starts. And I don't really jump the gun or not, but I think we've got the governor, Lieutenant Governor, and Jim Jones will be keynote speakers.
Wow.
Along with Dean Cameron.
Wow.
So we'll have the cook booth there. We'll have food. We'd like people. We'll be selling T-shirts. We'll have some vendors there, but we need people to come over and support that, because that's where these scholarships come from.
Yeah, and besides that, there's one word that associates itself with this event. It's free. Free.
Yeah, that's free.
Yeah.
Yep, and bringing Tegan in 2011 remind me of the other day we did that POW table ceremony. There's 2 people right there that we converted, so we're doing our job.
Absolutely.
If we get one a year, we're blessed.
Let me ask you, George, and Tegan's a good example of what she said earlier, that in today's society, we're not teaching the Constitution or our Pledge of Allegiance and really what it means, or our national anthem the way we should anymore. What more can you and your group do to help get into the schools and maybe help some of these teachers understand that should be part of the history curriculum?
It is. I'm still trying to work to get the flag commencement back into the schools. We're supposed to in Idaho. They mandated it. But my grandson and I, we do quite a bit up in Haley. We did some over in Rupert. So all we can do is stay out in the public, and hopefully somebody will take notice and get us more involved in.
Are you seeing a transition and a change? Are you seeing, like, you've got this group, this young people's group. Now, help me if I'm wrong. It's the Sons and Daughters of Liberty. Is that correct?
Youth for Liberty.
Youth for Liberty.
Yeah.
And you've really taught them about flag etiquette, and you've taught them how to post the colors, etc. Tell me more about them.
Yeah, it's young boys and girls that we take around, and we teach them flag etiquette. Absolutely zero on military. We're not grooming them for any branch of service, just flag etiquette.
Right.
We posted colors for your event last year was our debut. They post colors all the time. They posted up at Haley last year for Bo Bergdahl. They requested to bring them back again this year. Vicki Fikes has taken a group to Jackpot for the VFW state convention. We've did several conventions here in Burley this year with them. So it's just, and it's young kids. And everybody wants to join. Any kid, just let us know because we'd love to have them. But we've got I think 15, 16 kids now.
Really now?
Yes.
And they're all over the Magic Valley?
Burley, Rupert, Declo, and Hayburn.
I see.
Oakley.
Okay. You and Donna have kind of devoted your lives to the Rupert POW MIA and this special event coming up on September 20th, right there at the Rupert City Square. I really compliment you for all your time and effort.
Thank you, Zeb. But it takes the community and takes people like Tegan to make that happen.
Well, Tegan, a little bit about the national anthem. You're going to sing that in just a moment, and we're going to wrap up the program with it today. Have you ever thought about putting together a kind of an entourage of different songs like Kate Smith's God Bless America and America Why I Love Her and all this type of thing? Have you ever thought about putting maybe an ensemble of songs together like that?
Yeah, it's a possibility. I'm actually doing that on the 20th of September. I'm going to do some patriotic songs and then go into the national anthem for the main thing. But definitely, I think that'd be a great tribute to our country.
Absolutely. Now, you mentioned, George, just a moment ago, too, that Dan, I forgot all of a sudden, Hendricks is going to be singing. Boy, I tell you what, now, her and Dan could do a dynamic duo, couldn't they?
They could, yeah.
Ooh, boy, I tell you, that's good. And Kenny Mort, I got to give a lot of credit to Kenny Mort. What he did with that table ceremony was absolutely outstanding last year.
Yeah, he does a good job.
Absolutely.
Really
and you mentioned that possibly the governor's going to be there.
Yes, that I'm still waiting on confirmation on that, but it's looking very promising.
Okay.
Also, if I may, K-Bar was going to cover that live from 10 to 4, and we, if we can raise enough funds up, we'll get Cat Country to cover it.
Now, when you talk about the funding and everything, maybe it'd be a good plug right now. How can people get a hold of you if they'd like to become possibly a sponsor?
The best one to get a hold of would be Gina Jameson at the radio station.
Gina's involved in all that, isn't she?
She is.
She does a great job.
She jumped aboard this year with both feet. So.
Oh, absolutely. So they can just call the radio station and ask for Gina, and she can help them out.
Yes.
Gina, are you there listening? Are you going to jump in with both feet?
Yes, actually, I was going to do it last year, but due to other conflicts, I wasn't able to do it. So I've already marked it down. I want to be there, and so I will be there with you, broadcasting live for the entirety of the event. So
we'll look forward to it.
Be a sponsor, just get a hold of me and we can get you set up with that.
All right. I tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to do a commercial for our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. And then, Gina, I'm going to have Tegan sing the national anthem a cappella, the anthem a cappella. And then we'll wrap up the show, possibly with some Toby Keith, and we'll wrap it up for today. So here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, don't forget all 7 locations of your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all their services to help serve you. Absolutely for better, safer driving. And they've got easy credit plans available, 4 different plans that will fit into your budget. The best in tires, the absolute best in tires for your cars, pickups, and SUVs, horse trailers, boat trailers, whatever. Stop in and see them today. The best in brake service. Of course, front end alignment, shocks and struts, batteries, the custom wheels, all of this and more with Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family in Paul, John on Poline in Twin Falls, and Randy on Overland and Burley, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Ladies and gentlemen, this young lady, Tegan Nebeker, is going to sing now a song that's near and dear to all of us, our national anthem, and then we'll wrap it up for today on Zeb at the Ranch. The way things were are the way things ought to be. Tegan, if you would, please.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early lights what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleam? ships and bright stars through the perilous fight, o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave for the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Tegan Ebeker, goodbye, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow morning at 8:06. Go vote in America. Zeb at the Ranch, tomorrow morning, 8:06. God bless.
Awesome job, lady.